What's going on? It's time for another episode of Too Hard for the Radio and the Scuttlebutt Podcast, transmitting from the future free state of Greater Idaho. I am the one-armed madman, and back with me today, your host of the Scuttlebutt Podcast, it's Hermes Auslander. Hermes, pleasure as always.
Always, man. It's always good to be back. Let's invite everybody to pull up their chair, pour their glass light, whatever they're smoking on. It is
Yeah.
another crossover episode. I think we're doing more of these, and I love it.
Yeah, I made myself an old fashioned tonight.
That looks good.
I am
Hell
not
yeah.
I'm not a big drinker. I'm a lightweight, and I've never drank on the podcast, so this will be interesting.
I love popping people's cherries for this. This is actually beautiful. I just did this earlier this week with someone
Oh,
who's
that's
one of our longtime listeners, first time cherry popped on the show. That'll be releasing this coming week along with this one that you and I are recording. And same thing. Except he actually was able. He's like, no, I'm still working this week, so I can't drink. And I was like, well, I'll drink enough for the both of us. And I have this fun little added bit that I'm now doing on the show,
Ooh.
where I'll be doing my blood alcohol.
Oh,
as we continue.
that's
So
fun.
right. So I started out at 000, obviously before we started, and we'll see what we are at the end of the show.
Oh, I like that. That's awesome. Do you ever watch the show Kill Tony?
Oh, of course. Love
Dude,
Kill Tony.
They're doing, I haven't been watching lately. Like I go through, so like during the off season of motocross, I watch a lot of like comedy podcasts. And then like as the season starts like getting ramped up, I watch a lot of motocross podcasts. But then as the season starts to wrap up, I'm kind of over the motocross podcast. So I go back to comedy podcasts again. And I love their segment where they bring, somebody up and they're like, how drunk is this guy? And at one point they like brought a cop up to give him like the
breathalyzer.
SFTs. Yeah. And he's like, this guy's trashed.
I can't believe this guy's standing right now. Yeah, and at a comedy show, like a live comedy show, there's gonna be those. I mean, not to say point any fingers at myself or anything, but sometimes you have one or two too many.
Yeah.
While it's a 2-hour, 3-hour I keep saying podcast, a 3-hour show.
Yeah.
And there's 4 or 5 comedians coming and going. Yeah, I had one, maybe 2, maybe 10. It is what it is. They keep bringing me the drinks. I'm gonna keep drinking them.
Yeah.
So yeah. I'll start with the Guinness today, actually, as we
Ooh.
roll into this main show. You got your old fashioned. I got my Guinness. We're gonna keep it light. I have a poker game later too. That not only am I attending, but I'm hosting tonight.
Ooh,
So the wife is
so you're gonna be
ordering a bunch of
trashed by
Chinese
the end of the night.
Oh, hopefully not. I'm gonna try to keep it as
Hey, it's Friday.
It is Friday, and tomorrow I just got to build some shelves with the old man. So
Nice.
I have a bunch of projects that I've been like, again, as we started in the pre-show talking about. There's just so much shit on the list that you got to get to. Where do you have time? So this weekend we're making the time for it. So I'm going to put up those shelves and we'll have a nice little addition to the house. So that'd be good. Speaking of additions, though,
Quickly, I have a cool story about Guinness, and then we'll go to your
Yes.
additions because I don't want to forget and get off the schedule too much.
I was
So
gonna say, let me write it down so I don't forget my
Sorry,
ADD
I
brain.
should
No,
just
you're
let you
good.
go. So
No, cool.
I used to bartend in San Francisco, and I had a really cool move that I would do with Guinness. Guinness is a slow pour. And, you're supposed to pour Guinness in like 3 separate stages if you do it the right way. I don't have time for that shit. So what I would do is I would put the 20-ounce glass over on the tap. I'd pull the thing and it stays. You don't have to hold it like, some taps you do. And I would go over and make a couple drinks, and then the whole fucking bar is like watching the thing. Is like, is this thing gonna just? Did he forget about it? And I had the timing down perfect, so I'd get over there right as it was getting ready to fill up every time.
Perfect. You have those cool little those novelty tricks. I mean, I absolutely. That's the one thing. When I get it, similar to like if you win the lottery, there'll be signs, kind of a thing. I'm gonna install a nitro tap in my fucking kitchen.
For sure.
That will be the first sign. I always tell the wife, like, if you come home and there's like 50 new guns that I'm putting together in the fucking living room, and I have a tap that they're installing, and like there's probably a new car in the garage, you're gonna know, all right? And then pack your bags because we're going to Hawaii or whatever it is,
All right, back to additions.
Additions. No, additions to the house. I had to get a new addition to the house because I want to bitch and moan about something. Hopefully, I'm going to clip this little part that you and I are talking about here, and I'm going to maybe send it or tag a couple of like bigger influencers in the, say, firearm realm. Because if you noticed in the pre-show when I was like messing with the camera, there is something missing from my wall.
Oh,
Yeah, my favorite firearm in the form
Oh,
of
that's
a
right.
as my wife every a new attachment I put on it, she's like, that's a what does she say? Like, that's more assaulting this time, you know? And I had a new fleshlight or a new kickstand, you know, whatever it
Mhm.
is, a bipod mount, a new LPVO that I stick on the AR-15. She's like, "Oh, you know, it's more assaulting now. You know, it's more illegal now," just to bust my balls. Well, come to find out, you know, I got a bone to pick when it comes to, you know, renting and housing in this fucking state, this communist state that I fucking find myself in. I'm curious to hear your opinion on it, all right,
Oh,
Nick?
yeah,
And I know
absolutely.
you and me are in the same
Rubbing my
similar
hand and
boat,
stump
right?
together.
You're in my camp when it comes to this, which is like, fuck off, right? This is my house.
Yeah.
Fuck off. Well, it's not my house because I'm renting. So they
Mhm.
have, you know, and especially because it's military, like adjacent housing, they have, you know, technicians coming and going all the time. They got to fix this, they got to inspect that, they got to, right? So I have, as you know, a fucking red-blooded 2A loving American, you know, in the military no less. I have a lot of firearms around my abode, and they felt it necessary to remind me of page like 42 of the lease agreement I signed that a loaded firearms are not allowed at any time, and then two that unattended, unstored firearms are not allowed at any time. So I go back through the surveillance cameras. I'm like, who the fuck came in and was like, "Oh, you have unattended firearms"? This fucking punk ass HVAC motherfucking pussy ass bitch guy. Sorry for my language, scutter butters
Ugh.
out there, but it pissed me off to no avail because the new addition is I had to get a fucking gun locker. They were like, "Oh, per your lease agreement, you must have your ammo stored separately from your firearms. Your firearms must be in a locked container, cannot be, you know, accessible within this, and this." And so I had to buy a fucking $250 gun locker with a fucking combo on it and everything to store all, you know, 12 of my firearms here because I can't have them as like decor apparently in my house that I live in that nobody else should be coming into, and I have surveillance. It's just like I've cooled down a little bit. I'm curious where the conversation, where your opinion is on it, and we'll go from there. But like,
Yeah.
I
Okay.
was heated with
So,
it. That's the latest addition to the house. I don't know. What are your thoughts on it, Nick?
a couple of different things here. First off, like as a libertarian, I respect private property and contracts, but like also 2A, so fuck you. But like the main takeaway here is A, they got to give you notice before they come into your fucking house. You
Oh
know what I
yeah, yeah.
mean? They need to give you at least 24 hours. Depending on state, it's 24 to 48 hours notice before they come into the
0.
house. So
Yeah.
you should be able to, like, you shouldn't have to, but you should be able to take that stuff down, put it in your closet, and they can stay the fuck out of your closet. That's not part of the inspection. You know,
Right.
like they can give you, I want to make sure that you're not damaging anything. That doesn't include your closet. You know what I mean?
Fair. Yeah.
And so, like, and then the biggest thing is, what's the fucking difference? If it's
Yeah.
behind a fucking, if it's in a safe or it's on your wall, what's the difference? You know what
And
I
it was
mean?
unloaded. Yeah. Like it's not like. Why are you so uncomfortable as my HVAC inspector that you can't look in my vent,
Is
see
the
that I
gun
didn't,
gonna
you know,
jump off the wall and shoot you?
right. Like I was just like, and so I don't know, man. So like the
And then
conversation again,
also, like, for the HVAC guy, what a pussy. He's gonna call
right?
and narc on you to your fucking landlord about
Oh,
guns.
so,
Hey, this
yeah.
guy had guns on his wall. Oh boy.
Yeah, well, he did. I saw so when I looked at the surveillance cameras, because there was multiple rooms with multiple firearms. The first one, he opened a door, saw, and like took probably 3 seconds to like register. He like, am I seeing what I think I'm seeing? And then I saw him like crouch down and like kind of like put his eyes like eye level to the firearm, be like, is it loaded? Or I don't know what he was inspecting exactly, but yeah, he I guess after that, he had to make it a point to be like, "Hey, there's a unstored fire. There's a, you know, unstored, you know, unsafe firearms that are out in the open in this particular resident." So not only did they send me an email about the lease, but then they called us. They were like, "Hey, just so you know, it's a state law and it's part of your lease agreement." And I'm like, "What the fuck?" Yeah, and no notice, by the way. Yeah, they usually will give us like a slip, you know, a piece of paper. Oh, we plan on doing this on this date, kind of a thing. Nothing on that one. Specifically, the one that yeah they came through. I don't know. I was very heated. Now, the other part of me, after thinking about it a little bit, I was like, okay, so realistically, would I want my gun to be? Let's just say this HVAC guy was a total scumbag, right? Yeah, he was on camera stealing my firearm,
Yeah.
but I mean, what's to stop him from stealing my firearm and then going and doing shitty things with it? It's like, okay, I wouldn't want that. Is that necessarily what I'm afraid of happening or why the law exists? No, but if I'm going to give the best benefit of the doubt, after thinking about it, I was like, yeah, he could have, and he would have been on camera, and that would have been something. But let's just say we never found him. We never found the firearm, and all of a sudden it pops up a year or a week or whatever later, and it was used in a crime. It's like, would that be bad? Yes, I wouldn't like that to happen, kind of a thing. So
It's not your
now
fault.
that I have this little, I agree it's not my fault, but at the same time, it's like, is that my fault that I made it so accessible to somebody
No.
when I know that
You
there's
shouldn't be
technicians
stealing.
coming and going? I agree. I see. So this is where the conversation. This is why I really wanted your opinion because like this is only like 4 or 5 days old. Like this just happened this week. So not even this happened on like Tuesday. So it was
What
like
if you
4
left
days,
money on your dresser? Is it
right?
okay for him to just take it because it's there?
Well, money can't kill someone, Nick. That's what they're always going
Sure
to
it
say,
can. It
right?
can buy a gun that can kill somebody. Money's fungible, right?
That's true. That's true.
You
I don't
know,
know, man. Like,
you lose $2,000 that was in your freaking sock drawer, and then 2 days later, the guy shoots up a school. Is that your fault? No.
you know, I see. This is the bureaucracy or like, yeah, not even bureaucracy. This is like the nuance of the conversation. That this is why I wanted your opinion. Like, let's talk through this exactly because again, I think I'm a pretty reasonable guy, but at the end of the day, an unloaded firearm on the wall should not be an issue in my own house. You know, that's kind of where I'm residing. And at the time, I was so heated. Like, I texted a couple buddies and I was like, can you believe this fucking bullshit? Can you believe the communist goddamn state that we live? A man can't even keep an unloaded rifle. I mean, think about the rifles in the truck, you know, that when you go to high school
Yeah.
and stuff, that was always a thing where I grew up. I think we've talked about this before.
My
Like, that's a
grandfather got
normal thing.
expelled from high school for having a hunting rifle in his truck.
No.
Yeah.
What the fuck is
Yeah.
this? What the fuck is the world coming to?
Yeah, and this was like fucking 60 years ago.
Come on. No.
70
What
years
state
ago.
was he in California?
California.
Of course he was.
Northern California, out in the middle of nowhere. Potter Valley.
What?
Middle
What
of
the
nowhere.
fuck
300
is-
people
okay.
that he, lived in his town. Got
See,
expelled.
and
it was just
I know
because they
there's-
didn't like him, you know?
Well, oh, he was a troublemaker, I'm sure. So they had to find an excuse or some
Yeah.
shit, right?
Some uppity teacher just wants to come up with an excuse to get rid of somebody that they don't like. Back then, there wasn't a ton of money in public schools, so it wasn't like today where you have to really do something nasty to get expelled today because they want that money every day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, you really gotta, I mean, making a fucking
Mhm.
hit list, that you're gonna come in one day. That might be the last straw outside of that, or I don't know, man. It's what is the world coming to is kind of where I landed on that. And I know there's gonna be people, there's gonna be some Karen out there that hears the scuttlebutt this week and is like, I can't believe they're so negligent with their, deadly their deadly tools of weapons of war bullshit. I don't know, man. Yeah,
How does it hurt that HVAC employee in any way? There's nobody in the house. The gun's
Except you,
not on
yeah.
a turret with a motion detector. You know what I mean? Is he just
Yeah.
looking at the thing and getting so hot and bothered? Like, it's none of your damn business, guy. Like,
Yeah, well, he couldn't finish his job.
Like, he didn't finish the job?
No, he had to come back after I stored him.
You are kidding me.
No, he saw that one in the one
Wow.
room. So
Who's
I
gonna
wish I had-
know if you don't say anything? What is your boss gonna come in and check on you? Go, oh, you can't work here because this is just ridiculous. Like,
Yeah,
oh my
that's
God.
kinda where
we
I-
used to
that's
live in a
kinda
free
where I-
country. Even when I was a kid, we lived in a semi-free country. And it's amazing. It really is. It's disgusting.
that one definitely got me heated, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm being irrational because, like, when it comes to 2A, that's one of those free speech. Like the first two for sure are always on my short list of. You tell me
Yeah.
I can't say something. You tell me I can't shoot or carry something. Like those two will set me off probably faster than anything else. But then as we start going down the line, it was just it was encapsulating and infuriating me to every nth degree. And then there was I had to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole to see what the latest state law is. Yeah, and apparently the latest state law, it used to be castle, they have a castle doctrine as it relates to self-defense here, but they updated in this state the storage clause, which it used to be if you don't have minors, I think it even specified like 14 and under living in the house, then you did not have to store in a locked cabinet or container. They have since updated that. So now at all times, and there's a clause in there that says if the gun owner cannot readily control the firearm, meaning is present and has it within arm's length or reach, it cannot be outside of a locked container and cannot have the ammo and the firearm within the same container.
Joke.
Isn't like what the
What a
fuck? And I
joke.
remember so specifically, there was a fucking video of Kamala on the campaign trail prior to this last election. And there was a video circulating when she was either, what was she? I think she was attorney general. And she was saying how they're going to pass these, quote unquote, very common sense gun laws
Oh yeah,
about storage,
they're
right?
always common
Yeah, of
sense.
course, right? And she said, and you better, what did she, like, I don't want to fuck up the quote, but it was like, you better rest assured that we will make sure that you're storing it the way that the law says. Like, we're going to go into your house just to make sure. It's like, yeah, that infuriated me to the nth degree. I wasn't even living in this state when that happened, but I was like, oh, typical Kamala, I can't, so glad that law never passed. Well, here we are, 2026, January 2026, it's a law. And apparently, yeah, they can come in your house and tell you, oh, and report you and say, yeah, so-and-so isn't storing their firearms and their ammo correctly. We should, the lease agreement, they highlighted immediate eviction is part of the lease that we signed on, again, page 42,
Wow.
46 or whatever. So I was like,
So what
I
they're
had to,
giving you a second chance then?
well, yeah, exactly. I think, well, the state law says first offense, and these are all, so like if you have multiple firearms, each one of these counts as an offense. But first offense, $250, fine. Second offense, $500. Third offense, misdemeanor. And the housing has the it reserves the right to evict on any such offense. So
You know what's crazy about that too is like, good luck evicting some asshole from your house who's not gonna pay their rent. Like they make that
when they're
impossible. They make it impossible to evict somebody in California. They make it hard in every state, but they really make it impossible. Even squatters. You'll have you clear your house out, you're getting some work done on it to sell it. Some squatter comes into your house and you have to go
Yeah.
through a court process to get him out. But if
I have
if
seen
you,
those,
Mr. Military enlisted member has a gun in their house, they can just boot your ass.
Oh, they'll call the cops and they'll be like, oh, he's armed and dangerous, better bring in SWAT for it,
Oh yeah.
make sure.
And as
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned, swatting is attempted murder.
Oh, you know what? While I'm on this rabbit hole, I did look up a couple state laws on when it is justified to fire back on law enforcement. And no-knock warrants, depending on the state, are a justified reason to fire back on individuals, because it specifies, like Texas was a great one.
Yeah.
I loved reading that one, which is persons. What does it say? Like persons deeming a threat or posing a threat that is reasonably interpreted as a life-threatening action. So yeah, they throw a flashbang into your fucking house and they knock down your door. There's been multiple cases where somebody has fired back on intruders. Let's just call it what it is:
Mhm.
intruders of your house, and killed one of them. I remember reading one specific one where they killed one of the sheriffs who was doing a no-knock, and he was perfectly justified. They're like,
Yeah.
you never announced it. You threw a flashbang in his fucking window at 1 a.m. What the fuck did you think was going to happen? He
Yeah.
grabbed his pistol and he shot. Like, what the fuck do you? Yeah. So unfortunately, California is not one of those states, though.
No, absolutely not. Never will be. They're gonna. Oh God.
What
What
it's
a
such
joke, man.
it's such a shame. Again, I don't know where any of those casuals out there are falling on on this conversation. I'd love to hear about it so I can tell you that you're wrong, but this definitely is one of those that fucking heated me up, and I was like, what kind of a country, what kind of a state is this, and why would this ever be even if you would ask me 10, 20 years ago if this would ever have been like, if I'd be in this situation, or would this be something that I have to consider No, absolutely not.
I mean,
Inside your castle is yours, you know?
you can watch endless body cam videos of like cops rolling up on people who are open carry
Mm,
throughout the country in states where it's fully legal to open carry,
yeah.
and they immediately disarm them. They treat them like a criminal. They hold them at gunpoint, and it's like, wait a minute, aren't you guys supposed to be the defenders of 2A?
I saw that too. It was an Oklahoma one where Oklahoma
There's a
is
lot of them.
any person's 18 or no, 21 and above. And then if you're active duty or police or something else, it's 18. Yeah, no permit, no permit necessary. And the amount of videos I saw of someone who's like, yeah, I just want to let you know, like, I have a weapon on me in Oklahoma where it's completely legal to have permitless concealed carry and permitless open carry. And like you said, yeah, all of a sudden the cops are now they feel in danger. Now they have
Yeah.
to disarm you just in case this escalates because they're the ones who fucking rolled up on you, shined the flashlight in your face, didn't announce who they were, in the middle of the dark, and you're just like caught off guard and grab your pistol. Now they're the ones, obviously, who have to shoot first and ask questions later. It's just,
Yeah. And
I don't know, man.
in
I
the
was heated this week.
and in the same vein of catching people on security cam, I think we should probably move on to the biggest news of the week, which is, of course, the Afro Man trial. Have you
Yes, I was hoping you get to this. Hell yeah, bro. Hell
the
yeah, brother.
Afro Man trial. So for people who aren't caught up on this, I'll give a quick like summary of the case. Essentially, some convicted felon who was an informant of the police department in the town that he lived in gave false information over to the sheriff's office that he was trafficking drugs and holding kidnapped people in
Kidnapping, yeah.
his torture chamber in his basement. So
Mhm.
they raided his house. He's watching them on security camera raid his house because he got like ring notifications or something like that. And they end up cutting out his cameras because how are we able to raid a house, with,
If we're being
somebody
watched.
watching us? Like, that's just not cool. We can't do that. So he ended up taking, the cops took a suit, which why do you need to take a suit? You know,
Mhm.
what do you need to take a suit for? There's no basement, there's no drugs. So what's the point in taking one of his suits, except for the fact that it had money in the pocket, and
Yeah,
the money that
$2,000 or
he
some
got
shit.
back was not as much as the money that they took. And so he got
Big
pissed
shocker.
off. They destroyed his gate. They kicked down his door, destroyed his door. So instead of suing the department, which I absolutely would have sued the department, he ended up cutting parts of the security cam footage and like bringing in actors to perform in videos of like the deposition and made like satirical songs about the officers. One of them, my favorite was "Lick 'Em Up Lisa," which
Lick
was
'em up, Lisa. Yep.
"Lick 'Em Up
That's
Lisa"
so
was
deflammatory to her, right?
hilarious. And the cops got their feelings hurt because these big
Mhm.
bad tough cops, it's all about feelings for them. They got their feelings hurt and decided to sue him for defamation.
Mhm. And did you see the trial, like the videos of
Oh
them
yeah.
playing it at certain
Oh yeah. So was he
depositions?
actually sleeping with your wife? I don't know.
I don't know.
You have to ask him. Like, how embarrassing. That is going to cause you so much more embarrassment. That clip is going to live
Yeah.
on the internet forever, and that will cause you 100 times the embarrassment that those videos caused.
Mm.
You
And Lisa
embarrassed
crying
yourself,
about it.
you know?
Jesus
And
Christ,
like,
yeah.
hey, if you're not doing anything illegal, if you're not doing anything dirty, you should have no problem with somebody looking at you on the security cameras.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, they damaged property, stole money, and ended up finding nothing,
Ate some pound
charging
cake.
him with nothing, and all because he hurt their feelings,
Yeah.
decided to sue him.
Yep. And his
What a
deposition was
joke.
not his deposition, but his cross-examination in the trial was fucking hilarious. There was at
Yeah.
one point where the lawyers asked him like, "Well, why did you bring why did you bring the news with you to the police department?" He's like, "Because I'm not stupid and I didn't want the cops to shoot me or Epstein me."
Yeah, right. I haven't seen the whole trial. I think
Oh,
everybody
it's
should because
hilarious.
every single piece that because this is in the last, 24, 48 hours?
Yeah,
Like, it's
yeah.
pretty recent. Everything I've been seeing coming out of it, and I didn't know he had a Twitter account. I followed
Oh, yeah.
immediately. I've seen it
Oh, yeah.
explode.
Yeah,
like
good for
as
him.
it rightfully should.
And dude, the
And
suit that he wore was
yes, the
epic.
American flag
And the
and
glasses and
oh
all the
God,
rings.
It's so good. It's so good. It's
It
so
was
good.
epic.
I loved it. Like who didn't love Afro Man before should love Afro
Oh,
Man now.
he's gonna sell
God, it was
so
good.
many more tickets
Glorious.
to his shows. He's gonna blow up again, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
Good for
Absolutely. And he's
him.
like, how old is he? Like 50s, 60s? Like he's
Gotta
getting
be.
up there.
Gotta
Yeah, he's
be.
getting up there. God, this is just I hope he will, like you said, with ticket sales
Oh
alone
yeah,
and like
he's
all the
gonna
stream
blow up
stuff,
again.
he's gonna make so much more than they ever stole from him. And every single, especially because they ruled that yes, this is under his First Amendment right. He can make these songs about
Yep.
you. It's not defamation, especially you can't even prove back to that fucking sheriff or cop or deputy, whoever he was. Is he actually sleeping with your wife? Oh, I have no idea. It's like you can't even prove the thing that you're suing him for. So it's like he's gonna go on in perpetuity
Yeah.
making money off of your dumbass, and you made it so much worse in terms of like the Streisand effect. They
Yeah.
could not have made it worse with
I
what they
didn't
did.
hear
So
about the raid. I didn't know about the songs until the trial came up. Nobody did, you know?
well, that's funny because I do remember him making the song after they had raided him,
Okay, I
and
don't.
then I had heard that he was getting sued, and that was the last. And this was a year, if
2,
not
3 years
more
ago.
ago. Yeah, yeah. This was a while where I was like,
It would have
obviously,
all went away.
exactly. I forgot about it. I completely was not pay. I wasn't obviously on the same day to day Afro Man, timeline. So, bygones be bygones. They could have died, but no, they just couldn't let it go.
No,
They had to take it to trial. They just could not let it go. Fucking idiots, man.
I know.
But it's
It's
also so
crazy.
sweet because
Yeah.
as we're
Screw
talking about
them.
like all these body cam, dash cam and stuff footage where you get to see a lot of these cops just be complete scumbags and never actually get held accountable.
Hmm.
I love that they tried it with Afro Man and that he came out on top. That is
Yep.
just the greatest, sweetest, most ironic blessing that I could have asked for this week. Like that was
Poetic
perfect.
justice.
Poetic justice at its finest.
You know?
Absolutely.
It is. It was
Love it.
so funny too. Like he called that one guy a pedophile and just nothing. Got away with it. And dude, it's got to
Yeah.
just hurt their ego so bad. We're cops. We can do
You think it
whatever
was
we
bad
want. You
before?
can't do this to me. You can't talk like that about me. I have a
Mhm.
gun and a badge, and I can pull you over and rip you out of your car and send you to jail, and nothing happens because you know that, like, oh, I would guess that damn near every cop in America has done something illegal at some point, whether
Mm.
it's lied about evidence or even just like supporting a bad arrest. Somebody
Sure.
arrests some guy on the side of the road for something or rips him out of his car. You show up as a support officer. You go, ooh, this is not a great arrest. And you stand there and you go, well, I don't know what's going on. I wasn't here for that. Like that
Mhm.
happens all the time. After
The
they
Brotherhood too.
they
know?
retire or they quit or get fired, they steal shit.
Yeah.
They're always taking guns or ammo or body armor, whatever it is. Like I would guess there are very, very few cops in the country who have like 100% followed the Constitution for their entire career. It just
Yeah.
doesn't happen, you know?
People are infallible,
Yeah,
right?
you
No,
give them
of course
power
not.
and they're going to take every inch, they just
Yeah,
do.
that's how
I
people
watched a
are. Yeah.
really sick one today where, you know, this guy was chasing a kid on a mini bike for not having a light on his mini bike, and he ended up jumping on somebody's car hood and like screaming at them to follow the mini bike.
Okay,
You're
that
gonna
makes sense.
like
That's the
you're
equal
gonna get
force.
somebody killed. Like, what are
Yeah,
you doing? Like
yeah, that's the equal force there.
Like one of the
Logical.
good things that some of these liberal states have done, like they get it right every once in a while. A broken clock is right twice a day.
Mhm.
One of the good like policies that they've gotten in some of these liberal states, and I know this was kind of the case in San Francisco, is no high speed chases in populated areas. It's too fucking dangerous. We live in a police state already. You have them on dash cam. You have traffic cams, flock cams all over the place. If you're in a city like San Francisco, there's cameras on every freaking,
Sure.
block of the street. You can
Yeah.
go and get them later.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you get them right now. All you're doing is putting people in danger. I used to run from the cops in San Francisco all the time. I would split lanes on my motorcycle and
Yeah.
it's legal to do in
Yeah.
California, but cops don't know that. They think it's illegal, you know?
Yeah,
And
they
it's
don't like what
actually
they're
an
seeing, yeah.
interesting law. It's an old law because, like, if you think about a Harley, and this bike is a Harley, it looks
Mhm.
like a, crotch rocket, but it's actually it's a
It almost looks
Buell.
like a Ducati, I thought it was, yeah,
It's a
but I guess
Buell,
it's
which is a cool bike. This guy named Eric Buell was a racer, and he was putting Harley engines into Sportster bikes like back in the day. And Harley liked it, so they like bought his
that sounds
company and allowed him to make these cool fucking bikes. So the thing's it's a V twin. It's got a Sportster engine in it, essentially.
mm,
But anyways, the reason they made these laws were because those bikes are air cooled, and if you're
okay.
sitting in traffic behind a
Yeah.
car and you're not getting any airflow, it not so much today. Like the air cooled engines have gotten so good at this point. They've got oil
Mhm.
coolers on them, so they can kind of survive. But back in the day, man, you couldn't sit in traffic on a motorcycle. The thing would just blow up on you.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
they
yeah.
made it legal to split lanes. And so I'd split lanes in San Francisco every day, especially with this bike. This bike's so low to the ground and the bars are really tight in, so you can just
Yeah.
zipping right under everybody's mirrors. And I get lit up by cops all the time, and I just fucking took off. Like, screw you, you're not gonna catch me.
For something
I
that you
make
know
two
is legal
turns, and I'm
anyways.
fucking gone. You know, I did get pulled over once by a cop on in San Francisco. So I was going through a light that had like a sign on it that said no left turns between like 4 and 7 o'clock, like rush hours essentially.
Of course, yeah.
And I made the turn like 5 minutes after the time. I don't have a clock on my bike.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have a
Oh,
clock on my
no.
bike. Like, I don't know exactly what time it is. I knew it was close. There was no danger. There's nobody coming at me at all. Like, there's just absolutely no danger whatsoever. So I make the left turn, and there's a biker cop standing in the street with a speed gun, and he jumps in front of my bike
Jesus Christ.
and starts doing the stop type of thing, And
Respect
I
my
almost hit this
authority.
guy. I almost go down, and I end up like getting off the bike, and I'm just screaming at this guy about how dangerous that was and how he could have got us both killed. And he's screaming at me about how I could have got somebody killed. And I'm like, there's no fucking traffic. Like,
There's nothing
what are
here
you
except
talking about?
you.
Like, you did the more dangerous thing here. And like, I ended up going to court, and the guy lost. Like, they were like, it's
Rightfully so.
close enough. Like, he didn't know, he didn't have a clock. Like, it was 5 minutes, not a big deal. So they dismissed it, and I got away with it, which is good.
There's
Fuck
still
him.
justice here. There's
Yeah.
still justice in America.
Sometimes, But anyways, my point on that was it's like there should not be high speed chases in America for the most
No, I
part.
completely
Like
agree. I
I've
completely
seen
agree.
plenty of videos on the internet where they cause a wreck. They'll pit people like in the middle of a highway with people like all over the place, and they'll just pit somebody, and it's like, what are you doing?
We talked about this we talk about this almost every time we talk. These fucking road pirates pull you over for going 5, 6 over, whatever. It's even 10 over. I don't give a fuck. If you're going 80 in a 70,
Yeah.
fuck you. And then but you know what they're gonna do to catch you, or they're gonna go to the next spot to catch the next person? 100.
Yeah.
And it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly safe. It's totally
Yeah.
fuck you. Okay, get the fuck out of here. Again, turning left on a quote unquote, 4 to 7, whatever rush hour, and there's nobody there. I'll lend you in on a little secret here, Nick. When it's a red light and there's nobody around, you know what I'm not doing? I'm not stopping. Guys. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do the California stop of like, is anybody on the left? Anybody? I'm not sitting there. And the amount of times I'll see people like pull up next to me, or they'll be already at the red light. I'll pull up to the red light. It's, I don't know, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. There's
I go.
nobody on this street. Guess what I'm doing? I'm going.
Yeah.
And the amount of times I've seen people, oh my God, like I see them in my rear view
Freak
mirror.
out.
Oh, I can't even believe he would do that.
Yeah.
And you know what? If a cop was there, they're gonna be like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
That is not it's like, fuck you. Okay.
Yeah.
There's common sense. All right. And you're always talking about common sense laws. Shut the fuck up. Okay. Spend the money, the tax dollar on something more useful. Okay. And stopping me for going on a red light that nobody in an intersection that is green going the opposite way and there's nobody going. Guess what? I'm going. Fuck you.
I'm
Get the
reading
fuck outta here.
The Expanse right now, and in the newest book I started the other night, like one of the main storylines is like they've got these wormholes, and they've got this like basically a traffic cop inside of the wormholes that's like a trade union essentially that are like collecting tariffs and charging everybody to go through these wormholes that they didn't fucking build. and like
Naturally
yeah,
sounds just right.
this colony like goes through a wormhole without like waiting for clearance essentially, and the head of
Mm.
the trade union gets pissed off and is like, you're not allowed to use the wormholes for 3 years. And they're like, well, our colony's not self-sustaining. If we're not allowed to trade, then all 300 of us die within a couple of months. And they're like, well, shouldn't have broke the law. And it's like,
Fuck you.
you're going to kill 300 people, including children, over a traffic ticket.
Yeah, exactly what they're, and bureaucracy would, because just like corporations, they may be able to vote like people, but they're not,
Mhm.
and they don't give a fuck about the
I was
actual people.
freaking out, like listening to this. I'm like, what is this crazy woman doing? Like, she's going to kill children over a traffic ticket? Like, come
Because
on.
she gets to enforce the law. It's just like back to COVID fucking policies.
Yeah.
There was that Karen who just couldn't wait to have the excuse to
Oh,
tell you something.
God.
And
Dude.
if it's the mask, guess what? It's the mask today, and she's gonna fucking get you.
Yeah. Do you
I
have
just,
the Ring app? For
I
like
I
Ring
don't. I have
doorbells?
Blink.
Dude,
I have Blink.
Ring is like they have an app for like the video, but you can also like post shit on there. And it's made
Mm.
for like, hey, somebody broke into my house. Hey, somebody stole my car. Hey, I found this missing
I can already
dog
tell where
type
this
of
is
thing.
going.
And it's just, dude, it's the biggest Karen app on the internet.
It's just
Like,
people bitching at each other,
oh
right?
my God, dude, this person, I don't know if it's a guy or a woman or a man. This seems like a woman thing to do, but it could easily be a Darren
Now, there's a
also.
lot of those out here.
Yeah, this person has been posting
That
about
HVAC
stray
motherfucker.
cats for 4 straight days.
What, he doesn't like the stray cats around, or what?
5 o'clock in the morning and more stray cats at my house. People, keep your cats inside.
Shut the fuck,
Fuck
dude.
you, dude. It's a cat.
What
Deal
is
with
the
it.
cat doing? What is it doing?
I don't know. He's not even saying. He's just like more cats at 5:40 a.m. And it's like, what are they even doing? Who cares?
What are you
It's a
doing at
cat.
5:40 that you're posting this about cat? What the
Yeah.
fuck, dude? Don't you have a life at 5:40? Shouldn't you be sleeping? Jesus Christ,
Oh,
dude.
Dude, I've got a funny story about this is like related to this. So when I was living in San Francisco, I was renting this house with a bunch of friends and my ex-wife, and there was a homeless guy living on the side of our house. And like, dude, there's homeless people in San Francisco everywhere. As
Mhm.
long as you're not bothering me, whatever. I don't really care. It's not like you're living on my yard. This is like it's like a fenced in area on the side of a freeway. Like, I don't really care. It as long as you're not bothering me, I'm not gonna really make a big deal about it. But this guy, every morning at like 5 o'clock in the morning, he starts crushing cans and like moving cans around, and it's waking
Okay.
me up, and I'm getting pissed. And I'm yelling at this guy, get the fuck out of here, And one morning I like sprayed him with the hose, didn't do anything. And like at this time I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll just have to call somebody. So I like call the police and I'm like, oh, call this number. I called the number. They're like, oh, call that number. Call the next number.
Mm.
They're like, oh, call the police. And it's like, well, great. So basically nobody's
Yeah,
gonna
they're on around.
do anything about this. They don't fucking care. So I decided to take it into my own hands. And I got home from work one day and the guy wasn't there. So I went into my house and I grabbed some syrup for pancakes and I dumped syrup all over his sleeping bag and over all of his shit. And by the time I was done, there was already ants like going crazy on it.
Oh,
So
Jesus Christ.
I heard
dude.
him get home like later on that night and he's like pissed, yelling and screaming and throwing shit. And I'm just laughing to myself like, I got you. And one of the funniest parts,
a
like
little
that was
evil,
probably
man.
the funniest parts. But another funny part was like after the guy left, I had homeless people showing up at my house, knocking on the door, being like, "Hey man, where's Bob? He used to live over there and he's gone now." I'm like, "Fuck you, get the fuck
What?
out of here!"
That's
Like, how
not-
the fuck
whoa,
am I
whoa, whoa.
supposed to know where your homeless buddy went?
Yeah, that's not how homelessness is, first of all. Jesus Christ. But that's also the thing with homelessness that everybody, I don't know, like, I don't know if it splits down the middle or what, but a lot of people will be like, oh, well, they're just, they just hit some bad luck. It's like, no, a lot of them are like, mentally ill or drug addicts.
Yeah.
Let's just put that out there first and foremost.
I mean, look at what
And the other
happens
ones
when
who-
you put some of them in a house. They just destroy the house and live like
Yeah.
they're homeless inside a house.
Inside the house, exactly, yeah. The other half of them are ones that are just fucking, they're that type of crazy that also could be functional crazy, like
Yeah.
they're the ones
They could
who
be a
will-
cop.
They could be a cop. Coming full circle, man. Not to segue on us away from homeless, but I gotta pour one out because I just poured one
Yeah,
up.
sure.
But I gotta give one up to Chuck Norris, man.
Oh,
Did you
really? I
did you
didn't
hear
know
the noise?
that.
You didn't hear the news?
No.
Yeah. This morning I woke up to it, and here's one. Here's the pros for Chuck Norris, man. He
Man,
86, 86.
there's got to be some good Chuck Norris jokes going on the internet right now. Like maybe
Oh,
death
there
got
are.
scared of him or something.
There are. It's basically when you this was what did it say? Something like death didn't take Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris called death up so
Yeah.
that he could start the next game. Some shit like
Yeah.
the typical stuff. And yeah, the meme, the love, all the stuff coming out about it. Yeah, Chuck Norris, 86, finally said, "I've had enough." Right as
Man.
Iran war starts, no less. So
Oh, yeah.
there's always I
Oh,
think
yeah.
he finally said, I've seen enough of these in my day.
Yeah.
I can't win every conquest out there. So let me go ahead and lay up the hat. Yeah.
And you know who
So a bunch
else
of
is
people.
86 had enough? Joe Kent
Joe Kent, 86. So
had
so
enough.
get, what are your thoughts on that? You saw the interview, I'm guessing, with
I did.
Tucker and
I
everything.
did.
So this is a great because I do have this on my notes over here. I have this one, BB Dian, the latest Rogan, and Joe Kent being, you know, I didn't know who he was. I'll put that out there, just like so many other people that exist out there that I don't know. But I did hear and I saw on my timeline a couple like MAGA peeps that were like, "Oh, what a traitor! Like, fuck that
Yeah.
Joe Kent guy." And I didn't even because that's every fucking day. It seems like I didn't even investigate. I didn't even care. I was like, I don't give a fuck who Joe Kent is. Then it was Tucker, and maybe because it was on my timeline already that I recognized the name. And I was like, all right, who the fuck is Joe Kent? Let me start listening.
Mhm.
And within like the first like 3 minutes, I was like, wait a minute. Okay, so he's got this resume.
Mhm.
Tucker's like talking some like he's definitely gassing him up a little bit. And then I obviously as I'm listening to it, I'll go down a little bit of rabbit hole, like pull up his, Wikipedia or pull up, what does Grok say about Joe
Yeah.
Kent, yada 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 in the last 10, 20 years, right? And he could not be more similar in terms of now there's some things I don't agree with, just like anybody else who's a person out there, right? There's nuance. But he could not be more representative of like my generation
Mhm.
than what he is saying right now.
Mhm.
Living through everything, going to Iraq, putting his life on the line, and seeing the
Wife died
situation. Yeah,
in
his
combat.
wife. That was the crazy one. I was like, holy like talk about loss. I mean, friends, family, the love of his life. I mean, there's a lot with the guy going on, and you're gonna tell me that you're going to call him a traitor because he's disagreeing with what's happening right now, as though there's no possible avenue for disagreement right now. I hope that guy stays alive. Whatever
Yeah.
security detail is on him needs to fucking be on. Like that
Yeah.
needs to be 100% on because him saying a lot of the stuff he said, even if it's unfounded, can still get you killed. I mean,
Oh,
look at
yeah.
Afro Man. They'll take you to court for it, let alone let you live if it's the fucking,
Yeah.
the Epstein class, as they say.
Dude,
So,
and to me, that was the most interesting part of the interview when they were talking about, well, I guess it wasn't Epstein that they were talking about, but when they were talking
Kirk.
about Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
thought that was the most interesting part. Essentially, he said that he was conducting, and for people who don't know, he was the head of counterterrorism
Mhm.
for the federal government. And he was conducting his own investigation into Charlie Kirk's murder.
Which is
And
kind of a terrorism situation,
could
is it
be,
not? Okay. Okay.
absolutely,
Okay.
especially if there's foreign funding behind it or any
Even if
type
it's
of,
not, I mean, what is the
yeah,
act of terror, right? Act
yeah.
of terror is you go out speaking and you might get killed. That's
Yeah, it was
that's
a political assassination. That's terrorism,
that's thank you.
for
Yeah, that's what
sure.
I thought
I
anyways,
agree
the
with you,
definition of it. Yeah.
you know? And essentially, he was conducting an investigation, and he said that there was shit that he still needed to cross off of his list, that he
Mhm.
had not gotten to the bottom. He had questions, and essentially, he got shut down by the DOJ and the FBI. And to me, he didn't come straight out and say this, but if I'm reading between the lines, I think that he thought that there was at least a possibility that Israel was behind this. I think if
Mm.
it was Iran, or if he thought it was, some other Afghan, whatever, if he thought it was some Muslim terrorist, I think he would have said something. I
Mm.
think his silence about who he thought it could have been says a lot. And to me, that could be a reason why he's out. Maybe he got threatened to drop the investigation. Maybe somebody and the FBI and DOJ got threatened to make him drop the investigation. We'll never know. This is one of those things where
More than
he's never
likely,
going to
yeah.
be completely open about it because, he's still got a family, right? Like you don't want to be too outspoken about it, but
Mhm.
I don't know, man. I thought that was pretty interesting.
I there's a lot to unpack here is where my brain went. One was just like always, I always try to give benefit of the doubt. I always try to play devil's advocate, right? Is there another psyop? Is there anything that's counter to the narrative that I'm subscribing or buying into, right? I think I do a decent job of extracting data points and figuring out my own like perspective on things, but nobody's perfect, and obviously the internet is big and certainly not perfect. So there's a lot of shit out there that it's easy to both fall into. It's convenient to believe, right? Let's just say that first and
Mhm.
foremost. Having said all of that, there are questions when, and if we're just gonna focus in on Kirk, and again, I'm not like the fucking biggest advocate. I'm not on TP USA's dick
No,
or
me
anything,
neither.
but 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 you just like I said it in the beginning of the show. The first, Second Amendment, like you want to start my short list and start going from there. Somebody has the right to speak. We talked about this when we first talked about Charlie Kirk. There were some questions when it first happened that were fishy, and as time's gone on, there's a couple that have been answered, or at least are plausible that have an answer, but then there's others that not so much. And why is it that it's such gross incompetence is always the answer? It's like, oh well, the FBI didn't misspeak. It was they were just trying to put something out
Mhm.
there so that people would have something to understand at the same level or same time that the FBI does. It's like, I don't want the FBI to be at the same level of an internet sleuth. Shouldn't
Mhm.
you be better? You have all of this surveillance, you have all of this technology, you have all this manpower. How is it that you have less information than we do? All right.
Yeah.
First and foremost, that does not hire my confidence in you. Second, if there's, again, not a small job, the fucking whatever his title was, president of counterterrorism, like if you were the fucking sitting chair of that, that is not a small position. And you're saying that there are some questions, all right? If that is a misspeak, then I want to know why, how, what is the misspeak? Is it because you're going to run for office, you think this is going to help your political career? Show me the fucking evidence that that's the case here. Don't just say, "Oh, he's a traitor, he's a this, he's a that," because this is the exact fucking. And he even outlined it when he was on and again, not a Tuckerson, dick rider. I'm not an anybody's dick rider. When he was on Tucker's, he was like, this is like a textbook thing that you do in the CIA and the FBI. You lump all of this craziness in together, you throw out a bunch of craziness
Mhm.
yourself so that anybody who starts saying anything that's remotely in the same sphere, right or wrong, will be labeled as crazy. And
Mhm.
and that's like the playbook. And if he's part of any situation, any part of that, it just doesn't seem like the move. I mean, unless he's like a 7,500D chess player, that he's going to put it out there. I just don't see him admitting to do his game as I'm looking up whether or not he's playing that game and finding nothing. It's just like and there's enough pieces, I guess, fitting together where I'm like, okay, I'm starting to, I forget the like it's not philosophy, like the level, the like in law, I guess it would be like the level of deniability, and then the
Mhm.
level of evidence
Yeah.
you gotta prove, like above a reasonable doubt. This is now getting enough pieces of evidence as it relates to just Kent here, where it's like, okay, seems legit. Seems like he's saying a lot of things that I'm obviously already thinking long before anybody else is, publicly speaking about it. The last one that I saw publicly speak in a lot of different ways, even before I was born, ended up dying. Then we have Kirk in our time frame, like JFK. We have all these figures that it seems like it all goes in the same direction,
Yeah.
And then you read Mearsheimer's book, and again, I hate to even. I think they even said it in the interview. It's like it's not all Jewish individuals. It's not all of any individual, right? But I don't think the Epstein class, as we're calling it now, I don't think
Mhm.
the one percenters, I don't think any of that. I don't think anybody's going to argue that they don't have a specific like agenda, idea, desire, objective that they're trying to fulfill. And whatever ethnicity, whatever religion, whatever you have that falls into that you have that you possess and fall into that category, I'm still gonna fucking hate you. If you're a rich pedophile, guess what? To the gallows. If
Yeah.
you're a fucking power hungry son of a bitch out there, to the fucking gallows.
Wood
And if
chipper.
Joe Kent, yeah, thank you, yeah. And if Joe Kent is one of those like one of a couple voices that are peering through the cracks, absolutely, you have my attention, if
Hmm.
nothing else, right?
Absolutely.
Previous episode, shout out to Dirk. He had asked me a question he said it in the right way. Like, I've heard this question a couple different ways as I told him, but he asked it the right way. I was like, damn, that's a good ass question. And it's like, is this not the moment? Is this not a point of inflection, right? Where we have all of the, because he's an Albertan, and we're talking about the separatist and independence movement that's going on in Alberta.
Hmm.
And I was like, well, is this not a good idea? And he's like, well, is this not a bad idea? And we were going back and forth, and he had asked to just, I'm just going to tell everybody to go listen to that because I hate paraphrasing
Sure.
because I always fuck it up. But it's like, he asked it in such a way of like, is this not like a unique inflection point, And I had to like just take a step back. It's like, yeah, we have, if Elon Musk, if Joe Kent, if anybody so desired while he and I were live streaming to join in on the conversation, they could have. Like, that's a legit thing that we can do now. We were hearkening back to like Benjamin Franklin and like, a lot of the founding fathers. And he's like, is it better, is it worse if these ideas that we're currently experiencing, if we didn't have more time to digest them, to experience them, right? Talk about like Benjamin Franklin. He's overseas, he's in Europe, he's talking to all these different people, he's writing letters. It takes, 3 months to get back to Jefferson or whatever, right? Everybody has time to digest and really put their thought into it. And now we have just like every other week, it's a new story, as we were saying in the
Yeah. Flood
beginning.
the
It's
zone.
like, yeah, exactly. And I was like, is I kind of came in on the side of like, yeah, maybe this is just like a natural evolution. Like, when are we not in flux? When is it not a unique situation, right? But at the same time, similar to like a Dunbar's number, are we at that inflection point where biologically, societally, like, are we not in a specific point where we've now reached like that limit? And there's just if you throw X amount flood the market, it's doesn't matter if it sticks, doesn't matter what. It's too much.
Yeah.
There's just not enough time. There's not enough ability to absorb not only all of it, but even absorb the thing that you want to, like this Joe Kent thing, right? We're talking about it this week. Are we going to talk about it next week? Is it still going to be a thing? I mean, if he doesn't get
Probably not.
assassinated, so like, is it going to impact anything? And I agree with a lot of things he said, and I think it makes a lot of sense. But is it going to change anything? Is it going to fix anything as it relates to the Iran? I almost said Iraq because it's all
Yeah.
this
It's all the
fucking
same
same
thing.
now.
It's the same
Yeah.
war.
Is it going to change anything? Is it going to stop? Is it going to slow Iran? I mean, I have an actually I meant to say I have a boat notes that came through from someone over on the CVN Lincoln. They're part of Operation Fury, and they report no hot water, broken shitters, and their mail got blown up. They have
Jeez.
equipment coming out that were supposed to come out, and it was in like Dubai, I think it was, or UAE, one of these latest strikes that Iran hit, and all of their fucking mail got blown up. Whether it was important or not, they're not getting it.
Yeah.
So they've reached out to me and they're like, "Hey, is there any way we could do this or that?" I was like, "Absolutely." So shout out to Sailor Anonymous out there who hit me up in the boat notes. But yeah, this is I have another set of Marines. We've been having a big pipeline of people coming through that are going out. The Boxer just went out. I think I saw a bunch of reporting on all these amphibious ships that are going out, and I think it's in the neighborhood of 4, if not 5,000 Marines and sailors that are in now, probably going to be boots on ground. Like,
Ugh.
they're talking about, oh, this isn't going to be an invasion. This isn't going to be, something that we're not going to wait for Congress. No, what else would you call this? Like,
Yeah.
absolutely, it is. So it's like, yeah, is Joe Kent going to slow it down just because he resigned?
I doubt it. I doubt it. It is good
Doubt
to
it too.
see that there are some still people within government that have some integrity, you know? I
I
think
agree, but
I think Tulsi Gabbard has completely destroyed her
such a
credibility.
letdown,
I
man.
mean,
Such a
just
letdown.
what a joke. I mean, her political career is fucking over. With the way she lied to Congress about in favor of a war that she's been speaking out against for her entire political career
That
is
was what got me
just
brownie points with her.
disgusting. Like Dave Smith called her Colin Powell, which is exactly right. Like
Yeah.
she's this war's Colin Powell, lying for the sake of government. Like, what are you going to do next? The Democrats want nothing to do with you. Now, America First Republicans want nothing to do with you. Your career is over. Just resign like Joe Kent did and get out of it.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
also found out that, well, we don't know this for sure, but Tucker says that the CIA and the FBI have been reading his text messages based on, some of
Oh,
this
yeah.
Iran stuff. And
I think it was before. It was when he was doing the Russia stuff, right? He said his signal got
well,
hacked and
no,
stuff.
this is another one, even
Another one.
more recently, like this last week, he made a video about it.
Well,
And
why is that surprising? They already had
it's
access to
not,
you, of
but
course.
the
Yeah.
kind of the surprising thing is that somebody tipped him off about it.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
there's somebody in there that looks at what is going on here and going, this isn't good. I don't like
Mm-hmm.
this. Tucker's, a good guy. And,
He's just a
whoever
fucking
stood it, like,
entertainment
it's
journalist, dude.
disgusting.
Like
And
what?
I have a post here that I want to read by
Yeah.
a guy named Greg Anderson. I think he's friends with Joe Kent. He's pictured with Joe Kent. And this will kind of lead us into some things that I want to discuss about Trump. But
Mm-hmm.
he posted a picture of him and Joe Kent, and it says, "I support my brother Joe Kent. The fact that this administration is now saying pejorative statements about Joe lets you know how pathetic they truly are. Trump called him, quote, weak. A fat pussy who avoided military service like the plague is calling my brother with 20 years in special ops, 15 combat tours, and lost his wife to an IED supporting the war in Syria weak. Fuck you, Trump. You ran on no new wars. And the veterans that gave our youth to the GWOT, I don't know what that means,
GWOT.
believe. Okay.
Global War on Terror.
Oh, okay. Believed you. Then you go back on your word and think you can insult us. Very clear you're nothing more than a Netanyahu cuck, which I thought that was a very powerful statement.
Mm.
And this sentiment is widespread. I've got some friends who started out as kind of like Trump dick riders when he got in the first time. And, a few of them have turned on him completely, and it seems like the Fox News class is the only real like Republican coalition that's still standing behind him. You've got these later Gen Xers and boomers who kind of were programmed to think that government is a force for good and that, as long as you're not a Democrat, you're the good guy, and essentially that all it comes down to is this like red versus blue war. And, Trump had a rally for this guy. I don't remember his name. I should have looked it up, but he's running against Thomas Massey for Congress in Kentucky. And the guy who Trump is like supporting was a never Trumper in 2015. He left the Republican Party when Trump got the nomination. And now all of a sudden that he's fighting wars for the neocons, the guy is all behind him, which is just crazy to me. And like Tim Dillon did a really great segment on this rally that he did in Kentucky. The people in the background are just kind of there,
Yeah.
It's the enthusiasm that he had in 2015 and then the first term and even after the rigged election is just not there anymore. And it comes down to this, man. America is not great again. He didn't do it. He didn't make America great again. That was a lie. It was bullshit. The guy's been printing money like crazy. He lied on the campaign trail. Everybody should have known when he brought Miriam Adelson in as his number one, supporter. And everything she does is for Israel. She loves Israel more than the U.S. Like he said that on the campaign trail.
Yeah.
And the fact that like he completely turned on everybody is like lost on him. I don't know. Like for a while, I kind of thought that he was being blackmailed. All right, they found something on him. He's in the Epstein files. They're blackmailing him to do Israel's bidding. Like it just is what it is. And after listening to more people, like I've been listening to more podcasts these past couple weeks since the war started than I typically do this time of the year. And I don't think he's being blackmailed at all. I think the guy's just easily influenced. If you ride his dick, if you suck him off, if you pump his ego, he's just going to think that you're the greatest. I said early on, and I still stick with this. I don't think that he is going to knight JD Vance as his successor. It's going to be Marco Rubio. And
Really?
a lot. Oh yeah, absolutely. Like if you watch some of the roundtables that he has where everybody's in the room, whenever he's talking and it's time to kick it to somebody else, he always kicks it to Marco Rubio first. It's like JD Vance isn't even there. And I think a lot of that has to
for Trumper,
Yeah, and I think a lot of that. Well, then why didn't he make Marco Rubio his VP? I guess maybe he thought he was going to get more votes with JD Vance, but honestly, I don't think JD Vance played a role in the election at all. I think it was just anybody but Kamala, which is the same thing that happened in 2020 was anybody but Trump, and like I honestly feel like a lot of that has to do with his backers saying Marco's going to be the guy because we can trust him, JD Van. And like literally, what are either one of these guys going to run on in 2028? You know, like they
They're
have
not whoever's the
nothing.
opposition
Oh,
is.
I'm gonna do exactly what Trump did. It's like, well, you already lost America First people at this point because you lied and we don't believe
Mm.
you anymore. You're gonna come out and say, oh, I'm actually going to release the Epstein files. Well, Trump said that. We don't believe you anymore.
Yeah,
You
we're
know,
done. Yeah.
like no matter what these, it's like Tulsi Gabbard. Her career's done. JD Vance, Marco Rubio, their career is done. It's done. It's over.
I don't know.
I don't know
I l-
what they do from here. Maybe Thomas Massey has an opening because I think he is very popular nationwide.
yeah, but that's why they won't let him. Like
Mhm.
I don't.
Yeah, that's a
I
good
wish
point.
you were like I hope you're no, I'm not I know you're right because I agree with you. But at the same and therefore it must be right because I think it's right, right? But but at the same time we've had this conversation before. How many people are in the same boat as us?
I don't know.
We're
It
not
seems like
I
a
don't know that
lot,
we're the
though. It seems like a
it is
lot.
it isn't a small amount, but
No,
at the same time they're
it's
swayed. They were
enough
swayed
that
with
you're not going to just be able to say I'm not a Democrat and win.
yeah, and but think about if the question is let's say Vance and Rubio team up, right? What are they going to run on? They're going to run on not the Democrats because I've heard rumblings and even even my crazy dad, my crazy uncle are all saying the same thing. You know who's the front runner for the Dems right now?
Gavin Newsom.
Gavin Newsom. Yep.
But
And
Gavin
everybody and
Newsom is a slick sociopath, and he's going to
fuck
be
that
able to
guy.
walk the line and say, I'm not going to support Israel's war, even though he clearly will.
He will.
But
Yeah.
he's going to be able to walk the line because right now the Democrats know that I'm more pro Israel than the other guy is not going to cut it anymore.
No.
Like
Yeah,
that's not
especially
going
with
to
their
work.
base. Yeah.
It's going to
Yeah.
work for your money, and maybe he'll go to these people and say, "Hey, look, I'm going to say some shit on the campaign trail, and just know that like I got your back once I
Yeah.
get
This
in.
is the
So
long
just
term.
kind of
Yeah.
support me, give me the money, and just know that like I got your back. Like like I said, he's a slick sociopath. That guy's nuts, and he'll say whatever he's got to do to get elected.
I agree.
And
No,
like
I
I
agree.
really believe that like my buddy says this all the time because we're both from California, and he's like, "How are people going to vote for him when he destroyed California?" And I go, "I don't think people in the United States know that he destroyed California. If you're
Mm.
not plugged into what's going on, you think that Gavin Newsom destroyed California is a Republican talking point."
Mm. Yeah, there is definitely a percentage of that. I also think, I mean, if you've looked at the corruption of California, I don't think it's going to matter. I don't know that he's been elected successfully without some of the corruption shit that he's been caught doing and has just been like, well, nothing to see here, and it just keeps happening
Yeah.
and it just keeps going. And guess what? He's still fucking governor for it.
Mhm.
So if that's the case, if he teams up with Kamala, is that going to be a toxic partnership or is that going to be the partnership for success
He's
after
got it.
all of this
He
Trump
won't
bullshit?
he won't do Kabul. No way. No way.
No,
She's
no.
she's too toxic.
I don't know. She's talking
She's
about
too stupid. She's
running
too
for
drunk.
governor. So
Like
maybe she'll take over for him in
maybe
California for governor,
she's
and then he'll
she's
team
way
up.
too toxic to have on a ticket. Like she was probably the most unpopular
Oh yeah,
presidential nominee. I don't know, between her and Hillary Clinton, like people
I've
don't
seen so
like
much
her.
shit though.
People
I
don't
don't
like
know.
her.
I honestly sometimes I wonder because who answers polls and who are they polling? Like
Yeah.
it seems like such a fucking mess that as we're talking, I think we always get doom and gloom, Nick, and I fucking love it because
Yeah.
it's always so much fun
Yeah.
with you. But it's like, what the fuck do we do from here? Where do we go from here, man? Like how there's no fixing it. Otherwise, voting would be illegal, like we talked,
Mhm.
like we've said. I forget who said was it Tim Pool? It'd be illegal if it actually changed anything.
Michael Malice.
And
Tim Pool's not that
Malice, sorry,
based.
yeah. Oh yeah, what was I thinking? Pool with his fucking beanie. It's just like I don't know, man. Where do we fucking go from here? And
I don't know.
I've thought this a couple times, like we talked about, last episode we did together. What's the fucking hill for us? And their hill is just it's almost harder and harder to tell which hill is even which hill.
Yeah.
Like it's got all kinds of flags on it, and it got all other kinds of people that climbed that hill, and now they're saying that they're part of your hill, that they're dying on it, but then they don't.
Mhm.
They helicopter themselves over, like Trump. He was like, no, we're no more wars. And as someone in the military, it's like that sounds good. All right,
Yeah.
I may not agree with everything, but no more wars, no more brothers and sisters dying endlessly for other foreign countries and pointless fucking reasons, right? And here we are. So
Yeah.
it's like
And I mean, like, dude, in Tulsi Gabbard's like
yeah,
thing to
that
Congress, they're like, you said a couple months ago that their nuclear their nuclear capabilities were gone and they weren't close to a nuke. So how can you say that how can the president say that's an imminent threat? Are they an imminent threat? And she's like, well, that's up to the president to decide. And it's like, no, it's not.
What are you
That's up to
talking about?
you. That's your fucking job to
And
decide
don't
if
we
it's
have a
an imminent threat or
Congress?
not. Like, what are
Like,
we talking about?
yeah, I don't. So, I mean, you and I have read enough of the founding fathers' documentation. We've understand, I would say, enough of it to make a compelling case, and at least I can conclude we're so far off. We're
Oh,
so far off of it. How do we reset? How the fuck do we get back? I would think about this a lot. It's like, we are so far off. It's so far gone. What is it going to take? And I don't know if you saw this little conspiracy floating around Twitter yet of the 4chan predictions that
no.
called the Iran war. Yeah, they updated their little prediction, and it was like Iran starts. Actually, I probably can scroll down and find it here while we're
Dude,
talking.
Nick Fuentes had a great post about this shit where he was like, Trump's going to come in, and I don't remember all of the points that he made, but like one of them was like, no new wars except Iran. And then another one was like, no trans surgeries except with parental consent. And then Trump like had a post just a couple of days ago where he posted no trans surgeries unless parents consent. It's like, what the fuck? Is your SAVE Act so important that you're going to let children be mutilated in this country? Like, and another thing that I wanted to bring up, and I'll let you go to this, but like, dude,
Yeah, yeah.
what, like, was nobody smart enough to go, hey, this is really bad in a midterm year? Like, this is not going to go well for us. Or did they just think, hey, the midterms are already gone. We're already screwed, so we might as well do something bold. I really don't know at this point.
I don't either. Anytime you think that you have like this is the logical next move, something else happens. You're
Yeah.
just like, I must be completely out of the fucking loop.
Yeah.
I am. So it's like I'm not part of these conversations that are happening. So it's like, yeah,
I had a very clear idea of what was going to happen at the last election. I'd been saying for probably a year before Trump, like you can go back and listen to all my podcasts, anybody listening. I said for a long time, the Democrats aren't going to be able to cheat in the same way that they did in 2024. They're going to let him win, and they're going to destroy the economy to teach people a lesson for voting for an outsider. Now, that's what is happening right now. I didn't put together the war with Iran part that was going to be what is destroying the economy. But like, look at oil prices, dude. Oil prices are up 70% this year, and Trump ran on low gas prices. Gas is up like we're about $4 in Idaho right now.
We're sitting at 6.
Yeah,
change.
I was just gonna say there's like 6 in California. Like this is out of control. People don't realize how it like. Energy affects everything. Energy is like your basis for production. You know what I mean? Like the Strait of Hormuz is responsible for the transport of tons of oil. And they go, oh, well, that's China's oil. Yeah. And who do we buy all of our shit from? You know,
who produces so much of that?
If it costs them 20%, 30%, 70% more to produce all of our items, you're eating that cost. You're eating that cost. Like right now, Americans are paying, I don't even know how much more per month for gas than they did before the start of this thing. It's a lot, you know? Here's Trump on TV going, well, it's not a big deal. It's like, well, dude, you ran on oil prices. You ran on cheap gas. Like, what are you talking about? It's not a big deal. Like, that is one of the main expenses for Americans right now is like commuting. You know,
I was gonna say it's the thing that keeps them employed.
Yeah,
is the thing they cannot escape from.
Every company in this country, in the world, relies on energy. The cheaper energy, the cheaper the prices. The cheaper the prices, the more money you get to save every year. And right now, they're spending $1 billion a day on this war. $1 billion a day. That is insane. Like, I mean, there's what 300 and maybe 400 million people in this country right now. You're taking multiple dollars out of our pockets every day to fight a war that had no imminent threat to American lives at all. None.
It depends on what the week you fucking ask them. They say, yeah, it didn't, and now it does, and then it doesn't, and now it will. You know what? You're giving us the description of like what you predicted, and I agree that there was something in the air when it was Trump 2.0 that we all, especially after he got shot, we're like, I'm pretty sure that's going to be the one. I'm going to share this screen, which was the script.
Did you see the meme of Afro Man as Trump after getting shot with his hand up?
No, I haven't.
There was
Check
another
this
one
out.
that said, Massey Afroman, somebody's got to do it.
Jesus Christ.
Go ahead.
No, I haven't fact checked everything because how do we have time to fact check
Yeah.
anything? I've had crazy, but apparently there's this 4chan user from July 2022, and it still has yet to have a community note on it. And some of my other liked posts certainly have community notes without, an hour going by. So I can't wait for somebody to fact check this, but we have it here dated right there. Oops, I almost highlighted a picture, but it's got the script. It says Israel breaks ceasefire with and strikes Iran. Trump responds with the B-2 bunker busters on the nuclear sites. We've already seen all this so far.
Mhm.
Iran hits all Gulf oil fields and U.S. bases, blocks Hormuz. Yep, we got there. Oil prices skyrocket. So we're right about here, right? At least two. U.S. sends 3 aircraft carriers, at least 2 sunk by Iran, Russia, and China using suicide tactics. Yet to be seen. There has been some sinking, but it was mostly on our side. U.S. tries amphibious invasions, which we're right now. I was telling you the Boxer and all those amphibious ships are headed
Mhm.
over there. We have a second attempt succeeds and fail after that first massive casualty. Civil war begins.
Oh,
Anti-war bloc takes DC with military support.
I doubt
U.S.
that.
splits into 2. I agree. I doubt that as well. But at the same time, I'm also going through the script thinking, how does this actually look? It's easy to
Mhm.
say this is like the black and white. This is what we're classifying it as. But like right there, you could say like oil prices skyrocket, blackouts in Africa and third world. We're seeing parts of that. And if you're saying this is how I'm defining it, you could say similar like The Simpsons. You could throw a lot at the board.
Mhm.
Something's going to stick kind of a thing.
Mhm.
Oil prices skyrocketing can be is one of those like inevitabilities, right?
Yeah.
You start a war over in the Middle East, it's
Oh, but wait,
inevitability.
Trump said that nobody could have known that the Strait of
Nobody could have
Hormuz
known,
was
right?
nobody could have known that. And it's like, yeah,
Right.
well, your intelligence told you that.
There
And
was
then Tulsi
there's
Gabbard refused to confirm that they did.
so why I'm bringing this up in case in point, outside of the funny, I hope this doesn't happen kind of a thing, and the funniness of how memeability, like how memes
Mhm.
spread and how narratives are propagated. Um, the the things that are sticking to the wall as it relates to this script are some things that are almost inevitabilities as well. So it's almost like the domino effect, right? You don't have to get it perfectly to know when one domino falls, even if it hits the side of the next one, maybe it'll veer
Mhm.
off course, maybe you're still going to have an effect downrange, right? Like that's kind of where this script kind of I don't know, makes you pause and wonder and kind of like, okay, if this is the direction that we're heading, and if this is the inevitability of some of these things, I can't remember who it was. I haven't listened to the full interview yet, but it was on trigonometry. Have you checked out
Yeah.
trigonometry?
There.
I like the guys. Constantine, he's a smart guy. I enjoy a lot of the back and forth, especially when it's like the thumbnail. Constantine owns so and so, right?
Yeah, he's pretty
Um,
fucking out there on the Russia
is he?
thing. Oh yeah, he's
In terms of like where, because I know he
he's pretty
used to
good on
be in
Israel, I
Russia.
think, right?
Yeah, I mean, by and large, I'd say he holds a lot of the same values that I would agree with, right? Like especially on the free speech thing. That's where I
Yeah.
kind of started listening to him. He was like, no, this one of the latest things he said that he was advocating against was somebody was like, yeah, well, you can't say that somebody who calls so and so, a retard or a fag or whatever isn't causing irreparable damage. He's like, that's exactly what I'm saying. No, just because you have lifelong anxiety from something I said does not mean that's my fault. That means
Yeah.
that you need to go to therapy. You need to go to counseling. You need to figure out why somebody's words are causing lifelong issues for you. That has nothing to do with the words that I
Yeah.
said,
I got
And I was like,
I got
yeah,
kicked out of a
fucking preach it.
doctor's office once for getting into an argument with one of the nurses. Or no, it wasn't even a nurse, it was like a receptionist. And the doctor kicked me out and he was like, "You made her cry. She had to leave from work that day." And I'm like, "Good. Congratulations. I just showed
She's
you that you have a weak employee. You should be thanking me." Instead, I got
she's
kicked out.
she's an adult who
Yeah.
is incapable of showing up to work and doing her
Yeah.
job because somebody said something mean.
Like
Oh
clearly
no,
your employees like mental health is fucking horrible
is
and
not
like
there.
you
Yeah,
should be
exactly.
thanking me.
So
Like what the
yeah,
hell is what you're kicking me out of the office? Like I'm the injured one here. Like what are we talking about?
it's clearly your fault. It's clearly your fault.
Oh yeah, it's always my
Yeah.
fault.
So the script, I think I think it's entertaining, but it's also like, God damn it. I wonder what it looks like if some of these inevitabilities continue to,
Yeah.
because we were talking about the oil prices. I know I have a couple buddies who are very intimate with the oil industry, worked there their entire lives, still currently working. One's like a manager for one of these like billion-dollar um, companies and does, billion-dollar, year revenues for various oil fields. And then I have boots on the ground. Like his son is in the fucking field working on the fucking crank,
Yeah.
wrenching, doing chain work,
Yeah.
all of
Oh,
the
I
above
worked
every
in North
single day.
Dakota. Like I've seen where a lot of the oil in our country comes from, and like, dude, it's
Well, he was supposed to
serious
go over to
work.
Saudi Arabia like 2 years ago or
Mm,
something. Ended up deciding, it's there's a lot of things, a lot of factors to
yeah,
consider. They're not paying me enough to move all the way over there with
yeah.
my wife and everything, right? Fast forward to now, this is right before the Iran conflict broke out, and we were talking. He's like, with
Mm,
everything that's happening right now in terms of like political, like posturing, if this happens, and he was like, if there's an attack after and this obviously did follow or had been a couple months after we hit the nuke sites, and we're like, okay, they have no capability, there's no way they're good, right? He's like, honestly, if our posturing continues the way it is, based on the rumors I'm hearing from people over there in Saudi Arabia, they're probably going to hit Iran again, and we're probably going to have a couple
yeah.
more like domino effects. And currently, he was like, in all the memos that I see, all the emails I'm getting sent, they're projected to hit like 120, 130 dollars per barrel.
We're already at
Currently, it was,
100.
yeah. Well, this was when it was at like 40,
Mm,
50, and he was like, and that's a good day for us. He's like, last time that it went over like 110, it was just it's payday for us in the oil industry. It's usually bad for the average customer, consumer,
yeah.
and everything. But guess when that happened? Iraq War, and that's when it went over 110 dollars. And so he's like, all the emails I'm seeing is it's projected if X and Y Z stuff happens, and now fast forward a month later, it has happened. Guess what we're looking at? We're looking at 120, 130 a barrel. Um, and he's describing it as like, that's a good payday for me, but that doesn't mean it's a good thing.
Yeah.
And part of that script were some of those inevitabilities that have come to fruition,
And we're
closing
gonna
down
be
the Strait of Hormuz. What was that gas? There was a fucking natural gas like refinery or like fuck, it was like an installation that has now been cut down to zero. And apparently that had something in the crazy neighborhood percentile that I heard of like 90% of the world's natural gas.
I think it was
Either
Europe. I think it was
what
LNG for Europe. And
yeah.
dude, Europe has already been destroyed by the energy crisis. Like these morons kind of did it to
Well,
themselves when they
yeah.
decided to go wind and solar in an area that doesn't
Zero
get enough
carbon,
wind or
whatever.
solar to
Fucking Christ.
have electricity off of. So they've kind of
Yeah.
shot themselves in the foot and put themselves in a bad situation. But like, dude, this
What are
is
you
not
doing?
good.
Yeah.
This is bad news. And like right now, like what are they talking about? Bringing more troops into the Strait of Hormuz to secure it. So basically, we're
Mhm.
going to be securing oil routes for China because we have to, otherwise our prices will all go up. And they've also like the reason we're not paying $5 a gallon in Idaho right now is because a bunch of different countries have just released strategic reserves out of their stockpiles to
Mhm.
kind of stabilize the price of oil. Otherwise, it'd be up even more than it is right now, and we've only got so much strategic reserve.
Mhm. Yeah, well, it's one of those complicated situations where I also wonder how much I always say I try to be the like a devil's advocate,
Mhm.
give everything the benefit of the doubt. Like, what exactly information am I missing that this doesn't make sense? I thought the last time I really thought like this was during COVID, where they
Yeah.
were like pumping trillions of dollars into the economy. I was like, look, maybe I'm missing something here, but I'm not an economist. Doesn't this add to inflation? Doesn't this make the
Yep.
situation worse? I was like, what exactly am I missing? What piece of evidence am I, data point am I missing? And as it turns out, I wasn't. I wasn't missing anything. This is exactly what's happening. This is exactly what they're okay doing. And that's kind of the situation here where it's like, we're going to be out of reserves. We're going to be out of logistics. We're going to be able to, forget trade routes, forget fucking, and everybody's like, oh, it's because of China. It's because of this. It's because of Israel. And it's like, no fucking shit. How
Yeah.
long have we said our politicians were owned by China? How many fucking bribes, how many corporations have to lobby for X, Y, and Z before you fucking get your head out of your ass and understand it's not an us versus them. It's an all of them versus you. It's all of you, all of us against this very small fraction. And I know that's like a very popular talking point, and everybody, all of us, quote unquote, agree on that. And yet here we are bickering and bullshitting about anything and everything else, and I don't know. It's just so fucking frustrating. It's
Yeah.
like, at what point is this going to tip?
You
I
know,
just don't see this any other way. Maybe I'm missing something. I really hope I am. When the fuck is this going to tip?
I don't know, man. I also saw that Chevron and Shell have both made massive, massive deals in Venezuela this week, which, like, I'm gonna get a bit conspiratorial here right now because I'm a little bit drunk, and
Hell
like I
yeah.
said, I'm a lightweight.
Hell yeah.
It seems to me like you go in for the 12-day war. Yeah, I see your hands. I see your hands. You go in for the 12-day war, and you go, huh? This is not doing it. We need to do a little bit more here. But consequences are going to be high oil prices. So why don't we go and kidnap Maduro, kill a bunch of people,
Mhm.
put our big partners in big oil down into Venezuela right now so they can start getting some production ramped up. And then when we actually go in, we've got some backup. And to me, it seems like you would want to wait a little bit until they actually got production online, but maybe that Israel was just a little bit too impatient on this one. And I don't know,
Or maybe
man. It seems like you've got a lot of data points that are kind of coming together right now.
But I mean, I don't think that's very conspiratorial at all, Nick. I was expecting way more. I thought you were going to say
Okay.
something like aliens and everything
No,
are
no, no,
putting
no,
us in
no.
line. You know, no,
No,
I'm
no,
just
no, no,
joking.
no.
But it's like, I mean, that makes sense to me. Like, why? I'm a chess player. You know, I always go back to like that strategy aspect. For like ways of thinking. And how does that not make? I mean, that's going to put that oil, especially if we own it, at a premium. And if we're interfering with other country, like global oil, transportation and logistics, does that not help us? Especially if we're the only ones. Now we have all our carriers over there. Now we have all of our shipping lanes still open up that we're protecting. I mean, why would you not want to buy from us? Now we have so much more oil from Venezuela. That doesn't help me at $6 a
Nope.
gallon, at the fuck when I'm filling
Not
up my
right
tank.
now, but maybe when this thing drags on for another year, 2 years,
I don't
who
think it's going to get
knows?
cheaper for us as the average American, because what do we
No,
always fucking
you can't.
historically, used for? Money. Like they're going to sap us, drain us, tax us, do everything to us, and we got to foot the bill because we don't give a fucking, we don't get a choice on where our tax dollars go and where our money goes. But overall, that's going to be great for us long term because just like in a war economy, if we're the ones producing the bandages and the bullets, it's great for business if there's a war going on. And if we happen to have or at least an increased amount of oil production in our hemisphere, and we are quote unquote enemies of the other hemisphere, that's good for business because maybe that gives us that little bit of leverage against China.
Yeah.
China has all of the at least a lot of the manufacturing technology. Well, how are you going to power that technology, China? All of a sudden, you don't have a whole lot of, as you said, energy production in that part of your hemisphere, that part of the world. You can team up with Russia all day and they can give you every reserve they have, but guess who's got more? Guess
And
who's got better lanes?
And one of the crazy things that most people don't know about oil, this blew me away when I learned about this in North Dakota. So basically, all of the oil that we pump in North America, we can't process. We can't like
Refine and
all of
everything,
our
yeah.
refineries use a different kind of oil. So we ship all of the oil from North Dakota. First off, they shut down a pipeline while I was working there. So you take a truck, and believe me, and they shut down the pipeline for climate change. So instead of having
Great
a
reason.
a very efficient pipeline, now you have a truck that goes to every well site, delivers it to a holding facility, which puts it onto trains, which takes it into Canada where it's refined. Then it's taken back on a train down into North America where it's put into a pipeline and finally sent out to different refineries. But most of so the oil that we
Yeah,
refine
crude.
here in this country comes from like Russia. And it comes
Hmm.
from, the Middle
Yeah.
East because we don't have the refineries to refine the oil that we pump in this country. And it's the
Mm.
same thing over in other countries. They don't have the capacity to refine their oil that they pump. So, like, instead of spending the money to build a refinery in America to refine American drilled oil, you gonna ship it all over the world a bunch of different times because that's so much more efficient and better for climate change, right?
Yeah, you got to burn the coal in the trains. You got to burn the
Yeah.
gas and the oil in the trucks, and like you said, way better than the pipeline.
It was just
This
it's
is
a joke.
isn't that
It's such
part
a
of the
joke.
Alberta? I don't know how much you've looked into that independence. I know we briefly talked about it. I don't know that much. So let me just say that. But isn't that part of the conversation that why they want to, like, the west side of
Yeah.
Canada wants to secede. It's because they're huge producers of all of this, both natural resources
Mhm.
and then the financial gain that
Yeah,
that has.
they're in the Bakken. They're like right the Bakken kind of goes from like North Dakota into eastern Montana and then up into Alberta.
Yeah,
Like that's the
yeah,
Bakken range where they've got a ton of natural gas and oil up there. And like oil
and
sands and all kinds of natural resources.
and aren't they currently like getting taxed to oblivion
Mhm.
from what they're producing? They're also not allowed to produce as much because environment and everything. And now that we have this, trade war, tariff war, whatever, back and forth with the U.S., they can't even give it to their biggest previously consumer of
Yeah.
said product. So they're making less. They're getting taxed more. It's like a lose lose.
Mhm.
And when I heard that, and I was talking to again, shout out to Dirk. We were talking about that, and neither of us were experts. Yeah, we said that many times, but like he saw it as with the information he had gathered, he was like, well, I see it as he was very anti-independence. He saw it as they have all these gripes. We have all these, like we hate the man, but we want to replace the man with our man kind of a thing. And he's just like, I don't want any part of that kind of a thing. And he's like, I see it as your neighbor, right? If your neighbor runs out of flour, you want to be able to help your neighbor kind of a thing. You want to, if you're Alberta and you produce all of this, and he's like, I do very well for myself. My family does very well for ourselves, all that kind of stuff. He's like, how much more does anybody actually need? And again, I love Dirk. And I asked him though, and I don't, because maybe we had a little bit to drink. I don't remember how we ended up. Maybe we segued too far, too fast off of the question and the topic of conversation. But I was like, how much is too much though? Isn't there like I don't disagree. Like we should help each other, right? If somebody needs a little help, I hope that when I help them, they help me. Like anybody who knows me personally knows I will absolutely give the shirt off my back, even if I don't have a shirt to give you, kind of a thing. That's just how I am to a point though. And he said we're all one family in Canada and we
Yeah.
want to help, our brothers and sisters. I was like, yeah, but I come from a big family and there's always that fucking one family member who's like, hey, can I have a spot $20? I swear I'll pay you back. I get paid on the first. I let me borrow $200 today and I'll pay you back on the first. There's always that person, right? And we all agree, especially coming from a big family, like there's a limit. We all like we want to help someone, we want to help Uncle Jerry, but Uncle Jerry's a piece of shit. He's an alcoholic. He squanders his money in Vegas every fucking chance he gets. There's a limit on how much we're going to be, and there's oftentimes family members who stop talking to you because you wouldn't give them the $20 spot or whatever before payday kind of a thing because they never fucking pay you back, and you're just like, I can't do it. I can't do it anymore. I know I'm enabling you, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I was like, what limit is that when it comes to Canada? Like you just keep giving it away to Toronto, keep giving it away to all these, politicians who don't give a shit about you,
Yeah.
haven't given a shit, like,
When
is
I
there
was
not a limit here?
when I was a kid, we lived on 11 acres, and I always wanted to build a dirt bike track on my property. And at one point, I had one, and my grandfather owned most land, and he was just a dick, and he wouldn't let me ride because his horses and all this shit.
Hmm,
And he was always like under the assumption that everybody's out to fuck you. Like that was
yeah.
just like the way he lived his life is everybody's out to fuck you. And I, as a kid, I always thought like, he's just paranoid. Like, nobody's out to fuck you. Like, what are you talking about? And then as I got older, I kind of realized, God damn it, the more I hate to admit it, like he was pretty much right. Like everybody is kind of out to fuck you in this world, especially like the people in the government. They're out to fuck you. They don't care about you. They're enriching themselves, their families. Like, it's just one of those things where as you get older, you kind of like realize that, maybe being generous isn't the right way to go. And I kind of think at this point, like, I don't think that we have any chance of like righting the ship at this point. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
social media, like there's only so much you can do. The wheels of power are going to keep turning, and like there's very little that we can do about it. And I think a lot of it is going to be like generational change. And we were kind of talking about this on the
Mm.
last episode where I was saying, like, what are these people like? They're looking at like the landscape of what's going on and like, what are they thinking?
Yeah.
How long are they going to be able? And I think that they look at this as like, hey, look, once the Fox News generation dies out, the Gen X, the boomer generation, there's going to be some change. Like it just has to. Like Yeah, fingers
I don't
crossed,
know.
right?
I don't know,
And
man.
I don't know either. Like sometimes I think it is, and then sometimes
Yeah.
I'll watch somebody like Dan Crenshaw and go, "Well, this guy's no different than the fucking boomers." So like
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
maybe there's no change coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But like
yeah.
I think kind of the best route at this point for normal everyday people is like live your life the best you can. Try and make as much money for your family. Try and live the best life you can and hope that things change over time. I don't really know that there's a better route to go than that. I wish that there was something that normal people could do. Like voting again is not it.
Yeah.
Like hopefully we'll get some good wins in the midterms. Like I think Thomas Massey's going to destroy this fucking neocon that Trump's
I
running
hope.
against him, which will be a good sign.
I
But
hope.
it,
Yeah.
again, is like Thomas Massey actually changing anything within government? Not really.
He
He's a
I mean,
voice of reason, like he's a voice for actual America first, but like not really changing much. You know what I mean?
mhm.
And
Mhm.
like a lot of these people need to die essentially. And I'm not saying go out and shoot these people. I'm saying like they just
Yeah.
need to die off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and
Needs new blood.
hopefully we'll get some new blood in there, and hopefully,
Mhm.
we don't get more Dan Crenshaws, but I don't
Yeah,
know. It's
fucking
it's really hard to say, right?
fucking twerp, man. I don't know, man. I agree with you. I completely agree with you, and I'm also on the same vein of like I've been because I've been thinking about it more and more, and I very rarely circle outside of like my drunken 2 a.m. thoughts right before I pass the fuck out, and I forget all about it. I usually solve world hunger about that time. It just is a
And then
shame
you
that it
forget
always
about it the
happens.
next morning.
Yeah, it's
What
always a
was I
shame that it
gonna do
happens at
again?
that time. But I have been, it's just it's on my mind a lot, like it is on so many people's minds. And yeah, there needs to be. I've been thinking that there needs to be some sort of concerted effort, and there needs to be some. I've quoted James Sharp quite a few times, on like how dictatorship to democracy.
Mhm.
Those methods worked for a reason, and there's a reason why it seems so difficult at first. Is because we're so disconnected, we're so atomized, we're so alienated from each other. So if there is anything that we can do, as you were saying, like make as much money as you can for you and your family, hope for the best tomorrow kind of a thing. Obviously, yeah, it goes without saying. Maybe the added bonus is just like do what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Maybe
No,
there's
I
a couple
mean, we're
more.
doing the best we can. There
Yeah.
it's we're doing right now, we're doing more than Tulsi Gabbard's doing. We're saying the truth.
Fuck
We're
yeah.
saying what we really think instead of just standing up there in front of everybody and lying and saying,
Yeah.
just trust the president. He knows what's best for you. He has the best he's the smartest guy ever. And he knows,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Well,
It's the fact that like all the neocons are all of a sudden like, did you see that there was like an interview with Hillary Clinton recently where she was like praising Trump?
mm-mm.
Oh
No, I did
yeah.
not.
Oh yeah, dude. It
Hell
was
froze
it
over
was
apparently.
something. Like I have no idea. I told my buddy sent it to me and I was like, he should be in jail right next to her. You know what I
Jesus Christ.
mean? Like when
Yeah.
when Hillary Clinton is praising you, you know things are going bad. And like
Yeah.
Lindsey Graham, like all these Ben Shapiro's all in on Trump now. Like all of these never Trumpers are just all
Oh my
in. And
God.
it's just
Well, because he's pro-Israel. That's
yeah.
why fucking
Yeah.
Shapiro's in on him. Yeah.
He's the first Israeli president in history. Bill Clinton was
Yeah.
the first black president, and Trump is the first Israeli president, right?
What whatever, man. I did think so. I mean, in the same vein of us doing podcasts and us, at least speaking the truth as best we know how and understand it. I had a 2 a.m. thought that I did write down, luckily,
Sure.
and it is a way to connect with a lot of the audience. Obviously, a lot of the audience. I'm getting boat notes from people on the fucking CVN Lincoln and the Boxer, and so a lot of my audience skews military. I had an idea that I want to run by you
Sure.
before we roll into the twilight hours of the show, and that is these care packages. They're expensive, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, I don't want to join a Patreon that is just for a podcast," or I don't want to buy a coffee to some random, this, that, the other. Who knows where the money's going? I understand that because I have the same idea. So I was like playing devil's advocate to myself, and I was thinking, you know what? I always bitch and complain that there's no like ledger, there's no like there's no way to track where your taxes are going. I have a recent idea with my website that I'm trying to update, and one of it would be a care package tracker.
Hmm.
Every dollar that we throw in, it's like 100 usually bucks to send a care package to a ship just for like time and shipping and the weight and everything. So it's usually somewhere between 50 and 100 bucks to send something out. every dollar that goes in there, it's tracked, and you can pick from the various lists of ships that are currently either contact in scuttlebutt or out there that families are sending care packages to. There's a couple organizations that do it. Rather than trust any one of those single organizations, fuck it. I want a scuttlebutt care package
Nice.
system that we want
I
to throw
like
out
it.
there. So I've been doing it for a lot of my friends and my family when they're out there. Obviously, my wife is going to get some care packages when she goes out here in the next couple months. So previously, we had boat notes that we would send to these sailors and Marines out there, and that's obviously free. That's obviously great. So if you want to send one of those, awesome. But I think I want to set up a little, not a GoFundMe, but wherever and however
Yeah.
you want to donate it, so we can get these care packages out there. And I mean, when this sailor fucking messaged me about there's no hot water, there's broken shitters, and my mail got blown up, I was like, not
Dude.
only like fuck, does that suck?
You know what's
And I feel
funny
like
is
I feel your pain.
I had this on the list and I wasn't going to bring it up because I heard
Uh,
conflicting information about it. But I heard that there was a report recently that said the Pentagon has spent in the last year $6.9 million on lobster tail, $2 million on king crab, and 15 they're spending like 1,500 or 15 million per month on like all of this different shit that they're $12,000 in fruit baskets, $5,000 in new iPads,
mm.
$60,000 on recliners. And then like right wing Fox News came out and were like, well, yeah, they're not spending it on themselves. They're spending it on the troops. And I'm like, as I'm hearing you talking about they have nowhere to shit, their fucking mail's getting below. Yeah, they're getting lobster tail. Really?
It's well, the funny thing about lobster tail, as someone who's experienced it, is it's always the worst day in the galley.
Oh,
So
really?
anytime there's it means like one of a handful of things, right? And the handful of times I've had it, it was when I was overseas, and and obviously I was like a younger sailor living in the barracks, and you go into the galley every day because it's free. They're taking your BAS, so you have to eat at the galley, otherwise you're going to starve. So anytime you go over there, the galley is infamous for having undercooked chicken, for having overcooked steak, and for having, like frozen peas and vegetables, right? That's like what the galley's known
Prison
for.
food.
Yeah, it's not far off for sure. Sometimes I wonder when I see some of the commissaries in some prisons, I'm like, oh, fuck.
I've been to jail
Uh,
before. I can tell you the food fucking sucks.
yeah. And well, so if that's like notorious what the galley's known for, right? The day you show up, there's like two that we look forward to. Fried chicken days, that's usually like
Oh,
once
yeah.
every other week. We always look forward to that one because it's like they bought it from some like contractor and it's usually decent. And then the second one, or at least they sourced it from contractors. The second one that we dread is when it's steak and lobster or it's crab and lobster. Like
Oh,
you go in
really?
there and all of a sudden the salad bar isn't full of moldy salad. All of a sudden it's filled with like, edible half frozen crab legs that
Ugh.
that are like soggy and spongy. And you're like, oh shit. Either Admiral's coming through or, flag officer so and so's coming through. We're about to have a fucking safety stand down to go into the auditorium and listen to this motherfucker for the next 2 or 3 hours. Or yeah, somebody's getting deployed. Somebody's going somewhere. We're about to send something. Like that's always what it ends up being. And and so anytime you're on a ship and they're serving you some stuff, you already know you're about to get extended. You're supposed to be back in 9 months. You're not getting back for 19 months,
Oh,
motherfucker.
no.
So
That's
enjoy the
funny.
steak and lobster because you're not going to get that all but this one time, and we're about to get extended. My Morpheus, anytime he was he always says, I think he actually commented on our Twitter about it. We were somebody as one of the sailors posted a video of like the shit that they're serving on the ship. Like it's like just burnt nasty gravy, right? It's just disgusting, like overcooked Salisbury steaks. It's like,
Oh, dude,
like you said,
Salisbury steak is the worst.
so it's like these trays of just like nasty. I mean, 3 hots and a cot. That's what they promised us, right? So at
Yeah.
least it's hot, right? And he comments, "What are you doing? That's good slop. What do you eat your slop over there?" Because there's just so few things to look forward to. So yeah, when CVN Lincoln Sailor Anonymous 123 hit us up, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna send you some beef jerky. I'm gonna send you
Nice.
some monsters. I'm gonna send you some stuff that isn't going to be served in the galley. That everybody's looking forward to. Maybe you can bargain with it or barter with it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So anytime I did that for Morpheus, yeah, it's one of those like lifeblood things where he was describing how you don't even eat Pop Tarts, you don't even like Pop Tart, you don't even like Diet Coke or whatever. But when it's the last Diet Coke in that fucking vending machine, and you've been
Oh, yeah.
eating like undercooked chicken and, no seasoned white rice for like the last 3 weeks, you're looking forward to that fucking Dr. Pepper. So when that
Yeah.
vending machine is out of Dr. Pepper, when you were looking forward to that one little thing, that's it. It's the last straw kind of a thing. So I want to get some care packages so that we can keep a lot of these sailors and Marines from that last straw kind of a thing. So
I like
I'll
it.
put a tracker up. If anybody wants to do it, that's the last official thing I want to announce before you hit this twilight,
All
because
right. Well, I
it's
think a
bad out
good
there. It's bad out there in the waters, guys.
I think a good topic for Twilight, and this is the last thing I have on my notes. Well, I have a bunch of shit on my notes, but I'm kind of drunk right now,
Hey,
and I
we're
don't
gonna
want to
do this
read through
again.
'em. Yeah, but I guess the last thing was, how did you like that Eric Weinstein interview on Jesse Michaels with Eric Davis?
Eric Weinstein. I don't think I saw it.
Oh,
The
you didn't?
last
I
Eric
sent you a link to it with Eric Weinstein.
that I might have saw a clip. Was it
Okay,
the same
well,
one?
that's
Was it the one
okay.
I responded where I was like, "Oh, the UFO thing,
Yeah,
right?"
yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay. I did see that one. I did see that.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. Like
So
I'm
yeah,
having a problem recalling all of it right now at
you're
this
right.
very minute. But
He was the
I
one. He was. Let me jog your memory. Then
sure,
he
sure.
was talking about how we have a lot of these siphon programs, and there's a lot of physics that were because correct me if I'm wrong. Weinstein's like mode of research is in like
Mathematics.
energy 0 point physics, like breaking a lot of the old molds
Yep.
of supersymmetry and
Theory of
Einstein's.
everything,
Yeah,
essentially.
exactly. Yeah, and he claims that he is closer than anybody else. That he
Yeah.
doesn't believe in string. He thinks it's stupid. He thinks it's a waste of time.
I think
And in
he's
this,
right on that
I
actually,
don't think he's
because
wrong either. Honestly, as
there's
time goes
no
on,
way to prove that theory. It's improvable. And like we've spent
yeah.
so much time and so much money on these people who are
It's because
investigating
we need a
string
bigger
theory.
No, we need a bigger particle
Yeah.
collider. Don't you
Yeah.
speak ill about
Yeah.
trillions of dollars,
Especially when we're
Nick.
in an energy crisis, we need to use the equivalent of an entire freaking country's energy
They make
to smash
exotic
atoms
spins.
together and learn nothing that's
They make
useful
exotic
for
spins. We
anybody.
have to we have to fund it with your
Yeah.
taxpayer dollars.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. There
he
was
was talking
another
about the
thing he
UFO
was
stuff on
saying.
0 Point, right? He was talking
Yeah,
about
he was
like
talking 0 Point. He was also like I've always like I kind of find these UFO whistleblowers to be full of shit for the most
most
part.
of
And like
they're
everybody is
these
always
fishy.
up on this Eric Davis guy. Oh, he's a physicist. He's smart. And like, dude, you could just tell that he had no fucking clue what Eric Weinstein was talking about like 90% of the time. Like he was just like, yeah, oh yeah, I know. But it's like if you would have pressed him on it, he had no clue what you were talking about. And then saying that like Lockheed Martin and these big companies are working on these anti-gravity spacecraft and they have
Yeah.
no theoretical physicists on staff just seems crazy to me. Like, come on. You're dealing with a phenomenon that doesn't obey our laws of physics, so you don't try and figure out what laws it's obeying. That makes no sense. It's
At this
ridiculous.
at the same time though, it's like,
Maybe.
you know,
I don't know.
well, I was gonna say at the same time, I've been humbled recently in a lot of different like aspects where I feel like I'm well read on some of the is like biology is like my number one, right?
Mhm.
And then I I get humbled with this like there's this latest thing. Like, did you see the what was it, Brigham Bueller on Rogan recently on
Nuh-uh.
peptides and stuff? I was
I have a
my
hard
dad
time with biology. Biology is like my
no,
worst subject, so I don't really get it.
it's hey, it's not everybody's. I get it. It's not everybody's cup of tea. My dad though, like, has been my whole life slow. Let's just say in terms of like his knees give out. He had his youth, and by the time he was 35, he had like the body of like a 50-year-old man. Like
Mhm.
his knees gave out, his shoulders gave out. And in recent times, I keep like, hey, have you checked this out? Have you? And he had an injury to his shoulder not long ago. And as a 60-year-old dude, shoulder like that, an injury to the shoulder like that should be like, and all the doctors said it, surgery, debilitating,
Yeah.
you're never going to be right again. He actually started, I think it was, something it was either the BP1 peptide or
Mhm.
one of the other ones. And he's been, apparently he was already ahead of the game. When I sent him the Rogan on episode on a lot of these peptides, I was like, hey, I know I've had this blind spot and I've been meaning to like, go down this rabbit hole a little bit more as it relates to this stuff. Is especially I told about hormone therapy and like replacing testosterone and a lot of stem stuff that I've been reading up on, and then this peptide craze or whatever you want to call it. I was telling him, it's like, hey, maybe you should. And he apparently for the last month he's been taking this
Mhm.
BC1, BP1, something, and he's like, and it's fixed his shoulder, zero surgery as of yet, and he's like every single like day it seems like he's getting better versus older. You know,
That's
that's
good,
how he was
man.
describing it,
I
and he's
broke
like,
my
yeah, so
shoulder last February and it still bothers me.
check it out because from what he's describing in terms of like his anecdotal like response to this specific stack that he's taking, he's looking to add a couple more, and he's in the position. I mean, he's retired, he's in a position to do it, but he and I were talking. He, you know, I can't wait to. He's gonna be over here in the next hour or so. We'll probably fucking unofficially record a podcast that's just
Yeah.
amongst us talking while
Those
we're
are
playing
always great.
poker.
I
Those are
have
the
a
best
buddy
ones.
that I talk to on the phone like once or twice a week, and we talk for like an hour and a half. I'm like, dude, you got to come on the podcast
You know
sometime.
how
Like
much
we do,
exactly?
we've done
You
like
know
hours and hours of podcasts, and you never
exactly,
fucking and you don't want to do it. It pisses me off.
exactly.
I'm like, one of these days, I'm just going to record our phone call and drop it, and
Just
then
not say
send it
anything.
to him.
Exactly, exactly. I can't wait to ask him about like his stack. Has he thought or read about any of these? Because I thought it was a great fucking episode. And as it relates to, yeah, keeping your friends, your family around longer, keeping yourself around, you know, longer from free from injury is like, it's humbling. As I was, you know, taken back to Weinstein, why I even brought it up is like, a lot of these people are so, as Weinstein said, so stuck in their fucking ways, so stuck in how academics and, you know, their fucking
Peer
mentors
review.
said, yeah, peer review, how things are supposed to be, quote unquote supposed to be. The amount of conversations I've had were more and more like, because you know, I work in the medical field. The amount of physicians that you see that are finally coming around, especially the younger physicians that are around my age, they're all in the same like boat of like, yeah, I mean, I just got out of med school, you know, like 4 years ago, and what I learned in med school has been irrelevant for 20 years. He's
Oh
like,
yeah,
there,
dude.
there's no question that there is a current shift of, as you said, like a lot of these guys just got to die off. In a lot of these places, I'm getting humbled as it relates because I never would have thought that I would have seen it, and as it relates to physics, as that's a huge jam that you and
Yeah.
I share. I mean, whether it's solar, whether it's like battery powered, whether it's fucking nuclear. I mean, these things are right there where a lot of people are coming around. Where like, yeah, maybe this is not the way you know, maybe this truth as we labeled it isn't accepted truth anymore.
Mhm.
Maybe string theory is bullshit. Probably is bullshit. Maybe we're onto something here, and maybe that's going to open that door again outside of, I don't have time. It's going to be outside my fucking wheelhouse,
Yeah.
but I'm definitely going to report on the scuttlebutt latest and greatest when it comes to, you know, fusion energy finally got cracked, or maybe we got zero
Yeah.
point transportation energy, and now we're taking trips out to Jupiter every other weekend, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
That will be, you know, and with I think Weinstein had mentioned like a lot of the AI LLM capability and like possibility. We're
Yeah.
probably not going to
He had
get
a great take where he
sentient.
said that like we underestimated like how hard it was going to be to create artificial general intelligence slash super intelligence, but we
Mhm.
overestimated how much you can do without actual
Without it.
intelligence. And I think
Exactly.
that's like probably the best way to put it.
I completely agree. Yeah, and every other you know day, it seems like my timeline is popping up with
I
like,
saw a
oh,
guy made a cancer treatment for his dog on Grok.
yeah, yeah, I saw the same thing. Yeah,
And I don't know if
it's
they actually like made the treatment or if he just kind of like came up with it and then
I think
somebody
he just
let his
crossed a
dog
bunch of
die or
stuff
something. Like
together.
I didn't look into it a lot, but I saw that it
It was
happened.
parasitic, I think. If memory serves, it
Oh,
was
dude,
anti-parasitic.
it's all parasite shit. Like I you know, like I've looked into this a lot, and my
Shit.
mom's looked into it more than I have. But this like ivermectin, fenbendazole to treat cancer type of
Mm-hmm.
shit. And
Mm-hmm.
like I had a buddy whose father-in-law got colon cancer recently, and I'm like, just look into this shit. You know,
If
and like
nothing
I sent
else.
him a bunch of information, and there's like a Facebook group that my mom follows that like I send in, and his wife's like a radiologist, so she's in the, you know, medical industry, and she looked through it and she's like, there's a lot of good information here, and these aren't crackpots. Like this is not
Mhm.
QAnon for medicine. Like there's some real shit going on here. You know what I mean?
Even if it was QAnon, I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
if you've looked at the recent
QAnon, like,
scoreboard.
you know, Bill Maher gave an apology to QAnon recently.
Yeah, did he? I mean, I don't know if you've seen the scoreboard recently, but
Yeah,
I think
not
conspiracy
not
theories
not
are
so
like,
wrong.
yeah, like I don't know, like 10 years ago was conspiracy zero, you know, conspiracy theorist one,
Yeah.
everyone else 100. I'm pretty sure it's flipped. I'm pretty sure every single thing
Yeah.
has started to come true. So,
Yeah,
not
now,
to
you know,
say,
10 years ago was you were a conspiracy theorist. Now you're just an average libertarian.
Now you're just you're just welcome to the Scuttlebutt podcast,
Yeah,
guys. Welcome to
exactly.
Too Hard for the Radio. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we're all in the same boat here.
Yeah. All right.
Oh man, we hit Twilight. I got
Yep.
a wicked piss.
Yep. Okay.
So
Real quick.
but
Required
I was
reading.
gonna say before what I was gonna give you one. All right.
Oh,
before we
okay.
go.
Here,
Yeah,
I'll go first. Fossil
All right.
Future, Alex Epstein. It's a really great book. It starts out with a kind of like a quick summary of his book, The Moral Case for Fossil Fuels. Kind of the thesis of the book is like every energy production mechanism should be viewed through human flourishing. If it causes more human flourishing, it's a good thing. If it doesn't, then it's not. And you know, one of the main points that he brings up in the book that is like over the last 40 years, the greatest thing in the history of the world has happened where like 80% of the world at one point in the last 40 years was in extreme poverty. And now it's like 10% of the world or 20% of the world. And that's all due to cheap and available fossil fuels.
And not only do I completely agree and have seen a lot of those that data, it goes without saying. It makes the most sense.
Yep.
Stop trying to fight this fucking global climate change, Greta Thunberg bullshit every other fucking day. And yeah, how about we all
More
like you said,
electric
rate-
cars are getting chopped on the chopping block. You know, more companies are like, hey, the subsidies ran out. This
Yeah,
isn't great.
I
People
was
don't
so
like
happy
these
when
things.
Dodge did that. Jesus Christ, because I'm a big muscle car guy.
Yep, me
When
too.
Dodge
I've got
said that.
I got a 72 C10 in my garage.
Oh, mate, I can only get so erect, man. You have a bike behind you and a C10 in the fucking garage, bro.
Yeah, it's a
Jesus
short
Christ.
bed. It's a short bed, 2-wheel drive
Damn,
on the ground.
Damn.
I got a new
I
motor
saw-
for it. My motor blew up a couple years ago, and I've got a new motor for it right now. I just haven't put it in yet.
I haven't played. I haven't. That's the thing about mechanics. Like I always, anytime I'm in the garage, like I only know so much. And then one of the last times I was in there, I think I was just changing the oil, rotating tires on my fucking Challenger. And the guy, he was like, engineer, right? Not mechanic. I was like, fuck you, bro. It's not that
I
obvious,
learned
man.
as a kid. I raced dirt bikes, so I had to be my own mechanic. At one point, my dad was like, I'm not working on your bikes anymore. I'm not going to be responsible for a mechanical failure and having you fucking die on the track. Like, you need to do it yourself. So,
And that's one of the best teachers. You break an arm or something.
I ended up blowing a bike
figure it-
up because I put an air filter in wrong and never did that again.
Exactly. That's a great teacher. That's where most of my fucking knowledge comes from, is trial and error and mostly failure, is what I always tell people. But all right, I'm taking that down. I have 100. I looked today because I finished another book today. I have 134 in my list currently that I have to work through right now.
Jesus Christ.
I have 5 right now before I get to the 6th one that my buddy recommended me that we were talking about last time, Red Rising. I have to start that 4th one. I'm trying to finish these other 4 and 5 before I start that one, because otherwise it's a domino, never-ending effect. And then I was like, you know what? How many titles have I saved in my like wish list? 134. There's just not enough fucking time.
Yeah.
There's just not enough. There's not enough years. But
I'm
slowly but
going
surely
to
we're
run
getting
out
to
of
it.
like fiction books very quickly because I don't read a lot of fiction. I read a lot of nonfiction.
Let me give you one. Let me give you one that I would say reads like a nonfiction, and some of the things in it are just so wild you can't even believe they're true. As it turns out, though, it is, and I think it's one of the more fun books that I've read recently as like a palate cleanser, because I finished Thomas Sowell's Marxism.
Mhm.
I wanted to finally like get through that one, and then I'm still working on Sapiens and Lexus and the Olive Tree, along with Emperor of All Maladies. So all of that's very nonfiction, very like a lot of it's dry. So I read that as a palate cleanser, and I ripped through it. It was like 8 hours. I just ripped through it. And it's Ungentlemanly Warfare by Damian Lewis.
Okay.
So there's
I've heard of
the
Damian
film.
Lewis.
Yeah, a lot of his books I've started adding to the wish list as well, because they just seem like they're right up my alley. But World War II, the Allied forces, it's what all of these special forces for Europe. It's where it's where the SAS, SPS, SAS all were born out of. The 007 character
cool.
was based on a lot of these guys. There's a fun movie that doesn't do it justice, but is fun for the one operation that was like one of the first operations for this special unit. It's directed by Guy Ritchie. It's by the same name, Ungentlemanly Warfare.
Okay.
But the book is so much better in terms of how much more it goes into. It goes into all these operations. There's this massacre in Greece that they do. The guy who ends up taking over for this special unit is his nickname was the Danish Viking. He's like this
nice.
6'6",
Hell yeah.
blonde hair, and he was one of the few. He was one of the only actually men that was awarded the Victorian Cross who wasn't a British citizen. You know, that's how badass he was. He was the only one who was issued as part of his equipment a bow and arrow because of how effective he was at killing Nazis with a fucking bow and arrow. Like this dude, and he explained like some of the training they did on how best and a most effective way was to kill men and Nazis from behind. One specific story as like the highlight to get you to read this book is he's going through a sentry fence line. He clips all of these, you know, he clips into this fence line and he's killing sentry after sentry. And one of these sentries, as he goes up and fucking the method that they used was popping. So he'd go in through the side of the neck, hit the jugular and the airway, pop it out with their fucking bayonet knife, so that they not only couldn't scream, but they'd bleed out in like 2 minutes, you know, less than a minute. Brutal. He was like, that's the most effective way to kill these sentries. So this 6'6" Danish Viking is going sentry to sentry. He pops one of these guys, and his rifle, he didn't like grab in time. So the Nazi's rifle hits the ground, alerts the other sentry down the line that he's going and, you know, killing. Hey, Friedrich, what are you doing? And because he's Danish, he speaks a little German, and in German responds back to them, pretending to be Friedrich. Oh, you know, if I didn't have 2 left feet, I wouldn't have any feet. They laugh. They continue on the night. And he continues killing all of the people as he just joked with them. That level of badassery is in this book, just start to finish. All of these dudes, they all died in action. They're all like legendary, like, you know, warrior's death kind of individuals. And I mean, that guy, his last name's Lassen. Lassen is claimed as like the founder of like these 2 or 3 different special unit, special forces groups over in Europe. I mean, just the badass of all badasses. And it's a fantastic read. Again, it's so crazy. Some of it doesn't even seem real. Continue fact checking. All of it checks out in multiple different ways, multiple people. Like, you know, it's a fantastic book. I can't recommend it enough. Cool. It's a fun one.
Sounds good, man. All right. Well, if you're listening to this on my feed, go subscribe to the Scuttlebutt podcast. You know, go give them a review on Apple or whatever you do for these podcasts to make them better. Go show Hermes some love. If you're listening on Hermes, go subscribe to my YouTube channel and give us a review. And we'll do this again in a couple weeks.
It's a good one. I couldn't agree more. It does a lot for the indie podcast.
Yep.
If you want to just give us a listen, awesome. If you want to give us that review, even better. If you want to give us a subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Fuck yeah, man. Welcome to the club.
All right. Take it easy, man. It was a pleasure talking with you. We'll do it again soon.
Absolutely.
All right.
Cheers, man.
Later.
Oh, don't kill the messenger, guys.
I cut it off quick, but
I got that one.
I can leave it on in the video.
I got it for us. It's all right, dude.
All right, man. Yeah. Go take yourself a piss.
Yeah, it was hitting me in the last like 10 minutes. Like, oh, I was bearing down.
That's why I went and took one right before we started, because I knew I had a drink. And I could have to piss. So.
All right, man. It's always a pleasure, man. I'll talk to you soon, Nick.